74. Okay, bye. Okay.
Good morning and welcome to today's New York City Council hearing for the Committee on Cultural Affairs, Libraries, and International Intergroup Relations. At this time, please silence all cell phones and electronic devices to minimize disruptions throughout the hearing. If you have testimony you wish to submit for the record, you may do so via email at testimony@council.nyc.gov. Once again, that is testimony@council.nyc.gov. At any time throughout the hearing, do not approach the dais. We thank you for your kind cooperation. Chair, we are ready to begin.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, everyone. I'm Councilmember Carlina Rivera, Chair of the Committee on Cultural Affairs, Libraries, and International Intergroup Relations. Welcome to today's oversight hearing, Pathways into the Arts and Cultural Workforce for New Yorkers. In addition to our oversight topic, the committee will be hearing resolution number 720, calling on the New York State Legislature to pass and the governor to sign the New York City Arts Space Act to promote the development of affordable arts spaces in New York City, which I have sponsored. These state-level bills, sponsored by State Senator Julia Salazar and Assemblymember Joanne Simon, would support the creation of affordable art spaces for nonprofit organizations by using property tax breaks to incentivize owners and developers to establish long-term affordable art spaces. Affordable art spaces are crucial for preserving New York City's identity as a hub of creativity and cultural innovation. And artists and organizations face mounting challenges in securing inexpensive workspaces. We must bolster efforts and further align ourselves with Create NYC, the city's cultural plan, whose goals also include the preservation and development of long-term affordable artists' workspace and housing. As a global arts capital, New York City thrives on its vibrant cultural sector, which attracts millions of visitors annually and generates billions of dollars for the economy. We must do more to ensure that nonprofit arts organizations can remain a fundamental part of our city's economic and social fabric. Now back to the oversight topic. In 2015, New York City took a transformative step forward with the passage of Local Law 46, which called for a comprehensive cultural plan for our city. The result, Create NYC, laid out a vision for a more equitable and inclusive cultural sector. This hearing focuses on one of its key goals, expanding pathways into arts and culture careers for people from underrepresented communities. Programs like the CUNY Cultural Corps, Carnegie Hall's B-Side, the SCI Network, SCI Network NYC, Roundabout Theater Company's Technical Workforce Development Program, Ghetto Film School, and New York Theater Workshops fellowships exemplify how we can provide people with hands-on experience, mentorship, and professional opportunities in the arts. These initiatives not only nurture the creative potential of our city, but also break down barriers to careers in a field where diversity is so crucial. Internships, apprenticeships, fellowships, and workforce development programs are vital tools for building a foundation for the next generation of leaders and innovators in the arts. Yet disparities remain, and while some students can easily access these opportunities, others often face significant financial and logistical challenges. It's our job to ensure that every young person in New York City has equitable access to the resources and support needed to pursue their passion in the arts and cultural industries. So I want to acknowledge my colleagues on the committee who are present today. Council members Carr and Lewis, good morning. I would like to thank the committee staff who put together this hearing, Christina Yalamati, the committee's counsel, Regina Paul, the committee's policy analyst, and Sandra Gray, the committee's finance analyst. I also want to thank my own staff, Katie Loeb, my chief of staff, and Eddie Amador, who is my director of legislation. I'd like to remind everyone who wishes to testify in person today that you must fill out the white appearance card, which is located on the desk of the Sergeant at Arms near the entrance to this room, even if you have already registered in advance that you will be testifying in person today. I'm also going to ask my colleagues to limit their questions and comments to 5 minutes. As a reminder to all of our witnesses, please state your name prior to your testimony for the record. I will now turn to committee counsel to swear in the administration.
Hi, good morning. Please raise your right hand. Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth before this committee and to respond honestly to council member questions? Lori Cumbo,
I do.
Lance Pallavi?
I do.
Thank you. You may begin.
Thank you. Good morning, Chair Rivera and members of the committee. I am Lori Cumbo, Commissioner of the New York City Department of Cultural Affairs, here to testify in regard to today's topic, pathways into the arts and cultural workforce for New Yorkers. I just want to preface my testimony by saying we are extremely excited about this topic, and we have, as you could say, overperformed in providing as much information as we can about all of the pathways to careers in the arts in New York City. And this particular hearing has gotten us so excited that we want to figure out a way to consolidate this information so that it can be more readily available, particularly to young people who are looking for careers in the arts. So we thank you for that, but I just want to give you a preface by saying this will be a longer testimony than usual, but that's because there are so many incredible programs all throughout New York City. This is a topic that is near and dear to my heart. I had an internship at the Metropolitan Museum of Art when I was 15 years old, and early work experiences at the Brooklyn Museum and Brooklyn Children's Museum shortly after that. These were formative years for me, which helped me to understand the power of the arts as a career path that offers good jobs that were also deeply rooted in our city's community. So I just want to say to all of the young people that are here that these pathways are real. I started at the Met, and now I'm Commissioner of the New York City Department of Cultural Affairs, so these are real, viable opportunities for young people. They were fun, they were exciting, and at many organizations, they led to good union jobs. We've been inspired by the work happening across the cultural sector to cultivate the next generation of arts workers. But I know that there is still a stigma out there, especially throughout lower income and working class communities, that the arts don't offer a viable career path. We need to change this from both ends. Make sure that our art sector has the support it needs to offer good paying jobs, while also creating programs that connect residents to career paths in the art and show them that this is an extraordinary way to have a great job while giving back to your city and your community. One very important way that we have really focused on developing is through the Adams administration, is the city's summer youth employment program. This is a rite of passage for so many of our city's young people. I know I had a summer youth employment job at Prospect Park and at the Carousel, and everyone who grew up here has a fond SYEP memory they're willing to share. Mayor Adams committed to providing an astounding 100,000 summer youth employment positions last year, an ambitious goal that we met. And I am so proud of our close collaboration with DYCD to get more cultural organizations involved in SYEP work sites. In fact, summer youth employment opportunity placements in the arts and cultural industry grew by nearly 28% over summer youth employment in 2023. More than 3,000 participants were also placed in related industries, including media, entertainment, and tourism, including museums, production companies, and television streaming services. Members of the Cultural Institutions Group also hosted nearly 400 summer youth employment participants. One leader in this regard is Snug Harbor Cultural Center on Staten Island, which hosted nearly 50 summer youth employment participants last year alone. At Snug Harbor, you'll meet SYEP graduates at every level of the organization because they know that this program is a powerful way to tap into New York City's greatest resource, our young people. Through SYEP, New York City's young people get exposure to jobs in cultural organizations and across all sectors. And these organizations, in turn, get access to a remarkable pool of talent. The application period to serve as an SYEP worksite this summer is now open. So to all the cultural groups listening, visit nyc.gov/SYEP to learn more and to apply. And to all the young people who are watching, this is an incredible opportunity for you to participate in. Make sure that you apply. Another program we're proud to support is the CUNY Cultural Corps. Inspired by the city's Create NYC cultural plan, this program provides paid internship opportunities for CUNY students at dozens of cultural organizations across the city. There are currently 86 cultural partners for this program, from the National Book Foundation to the Bronx Council on the Arts to Harlem Stage and Art Beyond Sight. CUNY students have the opportunity to gain hands-on experience in fields including education and public programming, development, communications, production, and curatorial, all while receiving $20 per hour. This is one key message we want to convey to people considering careers in the arts. The opportunities are endless. The outdated image of the starving artist does not apply here. The arts sector needs people who are good with their hands, who are interested in finance, who are great communicators. These are all skill sets that translate across industries. And the Cultural Corps gives these real-world work experiences to CUNY's already incredibly diverse student body, creating a pipeline that ensures that our cultural workforce reflects NYC's diverse population. Of the more than 1,000 Corps members who have gone through the program since it was established, 78% identified as people of color. Cultural Corps alumni can be found working in a wide variety of roles across our city's vibrant arts sector. DCLA supports more than 1,000 cultural not-for-profits across the city each year. Many of these organizations have programs that are dedicated to fostering the next generation of talent and opening up doors for New Yorkers of all backgrounds. The city's cultural institution groups have a particularly robust system of internships, fellowships, and other workforce development programs that utilize their world-class institutions to give residents access to a diverse range of professional paths. One key example of this is the SCI Network NYC, a consortium of 8 science-based members of the SIG who are committed to providing high-quality STEM internships to the New York City youth. The network includes the Museum of Natural History, New York Hall of Science, Staten Island Zoo, New York Botanical Garden, Queens Botanical Garden, Wave Hill, Wildlife Conservation Society, and Brooklyn Botanic Garden. Each year, this consortium hosts nearly 1,100 interns who gained experience in the variety of fields, including animal care, horticulture, science communication, teaching, and administration. Make sure, young people, you sign up for this incredible opportunity. According to the network, internships are critical pathways to employment, but have historically been available only to those with financial resources and social capital. SCI Network NYC, I'm gonna say it again so you can look it up. SCI Network NYC is working to ensure that youth from all backgrounds can participate in science internships. We partner with local organizations, council members, and schools to recruit youth and support them as they pursue the rich learning experiences at our institutions. This commitment is borne out in the program's impressive data. Of the 1,100 participants, 84% identify as people of color, 59% speak a language other than English at home, and 67% identify as female. We are breaking boundaries. Interns earn $2.4 million in stipends and wages, and many of the program's graduates have gone on to full-time employment within the network. This is an incredible program, and the SIG's commitment to workforce development extends far beyond these exciting STEM programs. At Carnegie Hall, the B-Side is a program for young people aged 14 to 22 that introduces different career opportunities in the music industry. This program provides industry-related skills and connections and offers participants the opportunity to learn the ins and outs of the music business from guest speakers, field trips, networking events, and more. The Bronx County Historical Society offers several research-based internships and professional development programs. Students from Fordham University and Lehman College get hands-on archival experience through one of these programs. And through their Mott Haven History Keepers program, 9 longtime community members in the South Bronx have received extensive training and resources in order to help preserve and tell their neighborhood's history. These history keepers have gone through a year of professional development training and will be presenting their work at an international research conference in Montreal this March. Wow. Staying in the Boogie Down Bronx for the next example, the Bronx Museum's Teen Council, created in 2005, is a paid internship that offers students aged 14 through 19 the opportunity to engage deeply in the work of the museum. Applications for the spring 2025 session of Teen Council are due February 2nd. That's right around the corner. So if there's a teen in your life who might be interested, learn more at bronxmuseum.org. The Brooklyn Museum has a museum education fellowship program for emerging arts professionals. This paid 10-month fellowship offers in-depth fieldwork, teaching experience, and ongoing professional development for museum educators and curators. Alumni of this program have gone on to work at cultural institutions across the city and country, creating a vital pipeline for diverse cultural leaders. In 2023, New York City Ballet launched the Emerging Female Choreographers Workshop, which partners with the School of American Ballet to give 3 women choreographers an opportunity to develop new works with SAB students, fostering female talent in ballet. Wow, if only I knew about that when I was younger. At Queens Botanical Garden, the Growing Justice program involves youth from the Flushing and Corona areas in weekly workshops, hands-on urban farming, running the QBG farm stand, and leadership development activities that open their eyes to the possibilities of food justice, environmental sustainability, community health, green careers, and climate change. The Staten Island Zoo offers a robust internship program for undergraduate and graduate students pursuing degrees in biology, zoology, veterinary medicine, or education. During the summer sessions, the Education Department conducts professional development workshops twice a week. Through the Cultural Development Fund, DCLA supports more than 1,000 not-for-profits across the city each year. These grants support a range of professional and workforce development programs. The Stage Directors and Choreographers Society's Professional Development Program creates paid opportunities for early career directors and choreographers to observe or work with established artists throughout the production process. The program provides access, develops skills, and makes possible relationships that are otherwise hard to fund. The Drama League offers a comprehensive career development for emerging directors. Teen Art Salon's Drawing All Stars program is free, pre-professional development program for high schoolers focusing on New York City's next generation of artists. Hook Arts Media's Arts Forward program offers a multi-phase media education pipeline, helping nearly 90 Brooklyn youth build skills and prepare for media careers. Beam Center's youth projects connect youth to paid training and employment experiences that focus on the creation and teaching of public art projects. So Harlem's Creative Collective builds on the organization's mission as a cultural industries incubator, working at the intersection of the arts and economic development. New York Theater's Workshop Administrative Fellowship Program, which represents one of several NYTW initiatives to address the economic barriers that may prevent talented individuals from pursuing careers in theater. Irondale Ensemble Tech Track program teaches students about all aspects of theater production, from costume and set design to marketing and lighting design, through a variety of hands-on projects. But these are just a few of the programs specifically supported by CDF grants. But I'd like to note that many more organizations are deeply committed to creating equitable pathways into the cultural workforce in practice programs they operate, whether or not these are specifically mentioned in their CDF applications. Groups like the Asian American Arts Alliance, Dance NYC, New York Foundation for the Arts, Arts and Education Roundtable, and other service organizations also offer a range of resources for current and aspiring cultural workers to secure work and advance in their careers. DCLA also works with agency partners on a number of programs that create pathways into the city's cultural workforce for people from diverse backgrounds. And I'm going to try to abbreviate more of this, but it's just so much good stuff here. The Mayor's Office of Media and Entertainment has a number of programs dedicated to opening pathways into the city's creative workforce. Their Made in New York PA training program prepares New York City residents ages 18 and up for entry-level positions in the TV and film industry. Unemployed and low-income New York City residents are eligible for the 4-week training and 2 years of job placement support as production assistants on film, TV, commercial, and music video sets. One partnership I'm particularly proud of is Roundabout Theater's Theatrical Workforce Development Program, created by Roundabout, MOM, and IATSE, and supported through our CDF. This program offers an incredible level of support for people who want to break into the city's performing arts industry. Roundabout's program has also contributed to the progress towards the Adams administration's moonshot goal of creating 30,000 apprenticeships by 2030. In November of last year, I joined MOM and NYC Talent at Roundabout to announce that the city was already ahead of schedule and halfway to achieving this ambitious goal, with 15,000 apprenticeship positions created through public and private partnerships across multiple industry sectors. Our partnership at New York City's Public Arts Office are also doing amazing work in preparing our students for careers in the cultural sector. Their new work-based learning programs bring together arts partners and a DOE teacher to co-facilitate programming for students who are interested in early professional experiences in the arts. Arts-focused public schools also offer robust and rigorous post-secondary prep programs. The High School of Art and Design in Manhattan offers a half-dozen majors in areas like film, video, graphic design, photo illustration, and more. The new Motion Picture Tech in Queens focuses on below-the-line careers in film and TV. They are currently serving an inaugural class of 9th graders who will spend the February school break working in a production company to produce a short narrative film. Wow. Fordham High School for the Arts in the Bronx has certified programs in drama and technical theater where students get professional training in stagecraft, lighting, carpentry, and more. Our very own Materials for the Arts program offers development classes that provide teachers with the tools to infuse the arts into a variety of subject areas. These programs allow public school teachers to earn continuing teacher and leader education credit and plus 30 credits towards NYC Public Schools Salary Differential Program. MFTA also partners with the New York City Public Schools Office of Arts and Special Projects to host off-site professional development classes for teachers across the 5 boroughs. Last year, Materials for the Arts launched its Young Designers Program, a collaboration with BK Style Foundation supporting talented young designers between the ages of 18 and 25. Culture is the pillar of our economy. In 2019, this creative sector had $110 billion local economic impact, generated $30 billion in wages, and employed 300,000 workers. Tell that to anyone who says that arts and culture isn't a viable workforce development plan. Culture is also the backbone of the city's tourism industry, which generates $74 billion in economic impact, with more than $48 billion coming from direct spending. New York City has attracted 62 million visitors last year, closing in on the $66 million high water mark achieved in 2019 and helping to drive the city's recovery. Since the start of the Adams administration, the city has invested more than $1 billion in expense and capital funding in the cultural sector in collaboration with the council and borough presidents. I'm so proud of this working partnership we have with the council, which funds a range of cultural initiatives like the Coalition of Theaters of Color, which are critical to smaller BIPOC-led organizations, which are crucial to our city's cultural ecosystem. Slowly but surely, we've seen major progress across our sector in opening up career pathways for people of all backgrounds in our cultural sector. One hopeful sign of this is the incredibly diverse class of leaders we currently see across the cultural landscape. We have people of color at the helms of AMNH, BAM, Wave Hill, Brooklyn Arts Council, the Perlman Center, Brooklyn Children's Museum, Bronx Children's Museum, Queens Library, and more. This doesn't even include the trailblazing leaders at organizations that are rooted in communities of color, which continue to foster incredible talent across disciplines. The city is committed to building on our partnership with these institutions to invest in their work and support institutions that are reflective of and responsive to our community. Before I close, I also want to wish a happy Jobs Week to one and all. All week long, the mayor's office will be highlighting ways that the city is helping to get New Yorkers into good-paying jobs across the city. One of the most critical ways we can make sure that working people can continue to live here and raise families here. We're proud that the arts provide one important pathway for these great jobs, and the city supports so many vital workforce programs for the arts. There's clearly a lot of amazing work happening across the cultural sector aimed at opening up work opportunities. Culture offers an exciting, rewarding way to explore our world and serve our communities. But there are always new challenges arising, especially post-COVID, and new ways for us to meet those challenges. So I thank you again for the opportunity to discuss today's urgent topic, and I look forward to working in partnership with the council to find ways we continue to support this work. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. I want to thank all the people that have come here today and given of their time to testify, and I hope that this hearing will be replayed many more times, because as you can see, New York City is doing phenomenal work with providing workforce development into the arts and cultural sector, and I hope that everyone will support these incredible programs.
Thank you so much. It was comprehensive. 20 minutes of
Robust.
testimony. We love to
For
hear
sure.
it. All right. Well, I just want to thank you for your work, because I know you're a great New York City cheerleader, and you love the arts and cultural organizations in our city. And I think the goal of this hearing is to hear from so many of the amazing groups that you have mentioned, and then of course some that you haven't, not intentionally, but because there are so many across the 5 boroughs, and they're certainly deserving of a chance to let us know the challenges that they're facing and how we can be of more assistance and support. You mentioned some great programs that we're certainly going to get into. You mentioned the Cultural Corps, you mentioned B-Side, Roundabout. With SYEP, which is the Summer Youth Employment Program, which is a great program, 100,000 positions you mentioned last year. We have our cultural institutions and groups hosting around about 400 SYEP positions. This is something I think we all want to grow. We all want to grow these positions. We want to ensure that they're paid and paid a living wage. I don't know if I've ever admitted this, but I've never taken an unpaid internship. I've just never felt like I was in the financial position in my own family, growing up very low income, that I could work for no money. I felt like I had to contribute to my household, and I had expenses. And so sometimes it was passing up an opportunity that I found interesting to wait tables, because I knew that was cash. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people in New York City face that because of so many factors, including the fact that this is a very expensive city. And everyone wants to live here, though, because it is indeed the greatest city in the world. So what are some actions that DCLA is taking to track the progress of some of the strategies that you laid out in your testimony? We know Create NYC has a number of goals, including an update every 2 years. So do you have any metrics or key indicators for these strategies for the past 3 years? Do you plan to update the plan for 2024 and 2025? And how do you measure success, right? What is that metric? What are the outcomes? Are you tracking where some of these individuals are placed? Are you trying to assist them maybe into other agencies? Clearly, all skills developed at a cultural institution or group is transferable. There's no question. So can you talk a little about the metrics and outcomes and how you track that success?
I want to thank you for that question. I think what's so important about this is that for the CUNY Cultural Corps program, we've only tracked it in the way of how many young people participate in it each year. So we've tracked that. We haven't been able to, and perhaps CUNY has been able to do that, to determine exactly where they are going following their internship. But we've tracked the number and the data in terms of how many CUNY Cultural Core participants there are each year. Our CDF grantees, as well as our cultural institution groups, those particular organizations do their own internal tracking, but I think it is a good idea to understand more about how young people are participating and flourishing in these particular organizations, and the ability to utilize their final reports to determine how they are faring with the programs. Are they able to expand? Are they able to utilize more young people? Are the wages for the stipends going up, as you pointed to? Because one of the things that we've been really proud of is that these internships, for the most part, have been paid internships, whether it's CUNY Cultural Corp at $20 an hour to the ones that we mentioned, like at Roundabout Theater. All of these programs are stipend-led, and that young people have an opportunity to earn while they're also learning. And so I appreciate that question. We have to do more in terms of understanding where are our young people going. While the organizations do that individually, we haven't consolidated that information from all of them to do a readout report for that.
And obviously, it's just an idea, like in terms of how we're getting people the comprehensive support that they need, like financially, and, you know, finding the affordable spaces. I mean, let's put housing aside just for a second. I mean, these are affordable spaces for rehearsal, to create. Those are very few and far in between. I also want to recognize council members Osei, Hanif, and Ung. Thank you. So I think the apprenticeships, that's a great pathway to placement, to success, to a career rather than a job. And so there is the goal of creating 30,000 apprenticeships by 2030. You mentioned the Roundabout Theater, which is doing fantastic work. How can cultural institutions, SIGs, and artist nonprofits access this funding so they can enhance their apprenticeships programs?
How can they enhance the programs?
And access the funding too. Like, what are ways that they could actually access this funding to create apprenticeships? Because it's one thing to say you want to create them. You need the funding, you need some expertise and guidance, and you also want to make sure that that pathway is laid out fairly clearly. The unions have done this for many, many years over time. And I know they're also trying to diversify where apprenticeships are. They're not just painters.
Right.
They want to do it across union work as well. So what are ways that they can access the funding and then also enhance their apprenticeship programs?
Well, I'm going to let my general counsel also weigh in on this, but one of the things that is critical for each of these programs, these are public-private partnerships, and so the city provides deep investment, and what we need to see is also more partnership with our private sector as well. So the private sector contributes, we contribute, and we're able to do programs such as that. In the situation of CUNY Cultural Core, that's a great example of a public-private partnership between private investment, CUNY's investment, city council, mayor's office, our administration. We've been able to partner on that program, and that's really a great example of how we're able to provide paid opportunities for young people to participate in these programs. And we have to do more in terms of showing the data, as you suggested, about how effective these programs, and then presenting that to more of our private sponsors to say, or partners, this is really great work. It's leading the industry in this way, and we need you to participate in this way. And I'll turn it over to Lance.
I just also wanted to add that we feel so lucky at the city's Department of Cultural Affairs to have the opportunity to partner with other city agencies, SBS, the Mayor's Office of Talent, MOAM, EDC, and so many others that have workforce development programs with careers in the arts. And combined, all working together, I think that's how we'll achieve the best results.
Have you explored the possibility of launching a city program that provides financial support for internships and apprenticeships?
The only mechanism that we have is our CDF application. And so the CDF application will go online in February, and that's going to be an opportunity for arts organizations to decide what type of programs that they want support and funding from. So many of the organizations that we listed here, these are CDF award recipients. So our CDF award recipients, they are able to highlight for their application that they would like support for their workforce development programs. And in partnership with the City Council, who also has, as you know, discretionary funding, they can also have the opportunity to apply for funding through that process as well. So we can do it on our end through the CDF. They can do it through the City Council effort, through the discretionary fund that you have, and we're able to partner and come together to create that level of funding.
Well, I say this probably every hearing. It's very hard for the City Council to like carve out like discretionary funding for a different program. We're always looking to create new initiatives and expand, because we truly believe in arts and culture as workforce opportunities. And I've actually been trying for years at this point to create another initiative about this, even before I had the privilege and honor of becoming the chair, and I will not quit. You all have my commitment that I'll keep trying. I think one thing that we're looking for is a bit more of maybe funding support from the city, especially for like youth hands-on experience across various facets of museum operations, because that'll expose them to diverse career opportunities. Mm-hmm. And so the CDF funding is important, but usually that's just to support like existing programming that has proven outcomes, that is successful. Mm-hmm. They have the data, they have the anecdotal. These are people that are getting placed, that are studying, that are doing great things already. So we're looking to grow that. Some cultural organizations have found it difficult to participate in some of the programs. And as I mentioned, those skills are very transferable, right? Visitor-centered communication, mm-hmm. data analysis, foundational teaching skills, all of that is transferable to other industries. Can DCLA play a role in advocating for the inclusion of the cultural sector in the city's apprenticeship opportunities? Can we expand that inclusion? Is that something that we're looking to do?
We can take it in terms of, we can take it back to our agency and look at what you're suggesting, but similar to the council, it is also very difficult for us to create something outside of the CDF program in terms of funding. So right now, CDF is the only mechanism that we have, but of course there can be many opportunities for us to see what MOAM, DYCD, Small Business Services, Mayor's Office of Talent, how can we collaborate together to be able to see, is there something that we could do to further, I mean, I would love to see more opportunities where we can see internships, and the arts and cultural sector, of course, be a wider part of workforce development plans, not only here for the city, for the state, and on the federal level. We need to continue to infuse the arts in terms of all workforce development conversations. Often when people think of apprenticeships, they think of construction, and they think of those sorts of jobs. We have to re-educate people in terms of them learning that arts and culture are a viable part of all workforce development programs, and we've had a lot of success. This administration gets it, and we are excited to partner with the other agencies in order to see how can we create a lane just for funding and support. Can't promise anything, but I can promise you that the conversations will happen.
Well, how do you gather feedback from the organizations, and particularly from young artists, to shape programs that better address their needs and challenges?
Thank you for that question. That's something that we... Mm-hmm. I think that one of the main ways that we have, the main tool that we have are our organization's final reports. So every organization that is funded by the New York City Department of Cultural Affairs has to issue a final report on the outcomes of the work that they did. we can then take that information and start to look at it in terms of how organizations are faring with their workforce development, how they're able to recruit, maintain, as well as support interns, as well as apprentices. But we're also able to see the work in action. So part of my role as commissioner is to be on the ground and seeing these programs in action. I've gone to Roundabout Theater several times to see their programming, as well as the Brooklyn Botanic Garden and their horticulture program. We've been able to see these programs in motion and to see how they are developing the next generation of talent and creatives.
What about young artists particularly? Do you get a chance to connect with them? I know we're always looking to, I know that young artists are gonna say a number of things, including, the affordability issues that they're facing. And so they'll ask about, housing and how to stay in the city. And I know we're all working on that. The administration and the council is a partnership. Do you gather feedback from young artists?
Our local arts councils that we support, and I'm so proud of the work that we're able to do, that is our mechanism to be able to support our local arts councils and to make sure that they have mechanisms and tools to be able to provide technical resources, to be able to provide pathways to careers and opportunities in the arts. So our 5 local arts councils are the critical way that we do that we provide that technical service, that they're able to communicate with the artists that they support. Many artists come to the arts councils for everything from job opportunities to looking for workforce development programs, as well as making artists aware of housing opportunities that the city is offering. We make sure that we not only support our local arts councils, but that we remain in close communication with them. We meet annually to discuss their needs and challenges, and that's one way that we work with our local arts councils, but that is our most powerful tool and partner in reaching our arts community and our individual artists throughout New York City.
How do you ensure that you're supporting young professionals who are from underrepresented communities?
I mean, this testimony really, in a very robust way, goes into how so many of those programs are faring in that way. I mean, just looking at so many of the programs from the CUNY Cultural Core program, making sure that the SCI network, NYC, that's a critical opportunity. And in that one, the commitment is born in the program's impressive data of 1,100 participants. 84% identify as people of color, 59% speak a language other than English at home, and 67% identify as female. Interns earn $2.4 million in stipends and wages, and many of the program's graduates have gone on to full-time employment within the network. And just to remind everyone, this program, the SCI Network NYC, is a partnership of the Museum of Natural History, New York Hall of Science, Staten Island Zoo, New York Botanical Garden, Queens Botanical Garden, Wave Hill Wildlife Conservation Society, and the Brooklyn Botanic Garden. And this program is very unique in terms of the fact that it is a STEM-based internship program in New York City, but they are not alone in this. So many of the organizations across New York City are producing stats very similar, are having a similar reach, and are able to get into communities that have been severely underserved for so many years to make sure that they get that research and programming right in their own backyard.
So you do rely on the organizations to sort of do this outreach, right, to ensure that underrepresented communities are included in their programs. I'm wondering what DCLA does specifically. Do you do any outreach, like social media, how to draw people in that might not necessarily typically have access? So are you dependent on the SCI network? Are you dependent on CUNY to bring in, to tap into their own student base? I'm just wondering about outreach and how DCLA has participated in the past.
Go say that.
One way that we ensure that that outreach is truly equitable is through the CDF program. And so through the 2023 reforms to CDF, we have made every effort to bring new voices into the CDF with over 100 new organizations represented. And more groups of color being a part of the CDF program. We're so proud of the work that we've been able to achieve over the last 3 years through CDF. And so that then amplifies all of the work that we're trying to do. So those then become partners that are speaking to their communities and are in each borough and every corner of each borough. So that's one of the best tools that we have to get this information about programs that our agency is doing into communities throughout New York City.
And I'm going to take it one step further, and I know my agency is going to jump all over me after I say this. But just reading the testimony, hearing the questions, seeing all of the providers here, I would love for our agency to be able to do a creative job workforce fair, and something where we gather all of these great partners in one room. We invite young people from all over New York City to be able to meet and engage and talk with so many of these cultural providers, so that they can really learn about these different programs, because like it was said, some are ballet programs, some are STEAM programs, some are STEM programs, some are focused on horticulture, some, and when you're 15, 16 years old, you don't necessarily know where exactly you want to be. For me, I was a student at Brooklyn Tech, and so that opportunity to work at the Metropolitan Museum of Art came through that particular school. And so it's important for us to partner with DOE to get the word out. But I would love to see something where young people have the ability to actually talk with those cultural institutions, because I don't know, maybe if I had seen the ballet program, I would have been a famous ballerina. That's just in my mind. My mom's probably joking and laughing at home about that. But I was happy that I was able to be at the Met. But who knows, if I had been a part of the program with STEAM, I might have been a scientist. But you kind of go with what you're exposed to. And so it would be great for them to see all of the different kinds of institutions, from Roundabout and seeing about lighting and engineering and technical experience. Our young people could do so many things if they had the right connection and exposure. So when I get back and my agency asks me who's going to do all the work to get that together, I'm going to say I'm doing it in partnership with Councilmember Carlina Rivera.
Well, I don't shy away from work. I love that. But I'll tell you, I think you just said something that's really important, is like, it's the stability, I think, that people are also attracted to, especially in a city this expensive. I think a creative job fair is a great idea. I think a lot of groups, what they want to do is they want to have as many people working for them as possible. And sometimes the issue is ensuring that the people that exist within the organization itself are being paid a living wage, right? So we want to get these organizations stable. It's a very difficult time for them right now. Private fundraising has proven to be very, very difficult at the moment. And so the public-private partnerships are so important, as you mentioned, and we've brought them into a lot of these programs. So I think one thing that we want to do to start is to hear. We're going to hear from these groups today. I want to create another opportunity to hear from you all again, to really figure out, like, is this creative job fair, like, is this a good idea? What else can we do? Funding's always going to be at the top of the list. There's no question. And you should mention that every single time. And they will, right? They always do, as you should, because you are deserving. But I love that. I would love for someone from, a very, like, working class, even low income neighborhood to say, yeah, I could do an internship, a paid internship at a museum, and then you never know what could lead from that. There's so many different types of jobs, especially. Are you providing education and resources? We talked about museum operations, but there's also things like copyright and licensing and protecting intellectual property, especially for emerging artists. Are you all providing education or resources about that?
Our agency specifically does not, but MOAM does provide that type of education and internship opportunities. I would definitely look into MOAM. Hopefully they can join us the next time we participate in this, because the mayor's office they have a number of programs dedicated to pathways into the city's creative workforce. I'll just read off some of them. Their Made in New York PA training program prepares New York City residents ages 18 and up for entry-level positions in the TV and film industry. Unemployed and low-income New York City residents are eligible for the 4-week training and 2 years of job placement support as production assistants on film, TV, commercial, and music video sets. A study released in 2023 found that over the 15 years of the program, there was a marked increase in diversity over the 15 years of the program within New York City's film and TV industry, and a 128% increase in salaries over 5 years of program graduates. MOM's post-production training program, Made in NY Animation Project, Media MKRS programs provide additional career support for people working across the city's creative sectors. MOM works with the Department of Small Business Services and Brooklyn Workforce Innovations to run these successful programs. And so that's just one of the major programs that they do. But I'd also like to suggest for many young people, I went through or worked with them with Volunteer Lawyers for the Arts, which was an incredible program that helped me when I was founding the Museum of Contemporary African Diaspora and Arts. They helped in tremendous ways in terms of providing that level of support, and they do have internship opportunities there as well.
Yeah, I agree. I used to work for a similar group that provided nonprofits with business transaction services. So that was a really interesting side to see. So I agree, it's totally needed. I do want to just ask you, and I agree, MOM is also a really valuable agency, and we welcome their contribution and their partnership always, as I know so many people in the room do. I just have a question that's more about some of the rhetoric around DEI, right? Diversity, equity, and inclusion, and this sort of, I don't know how to say sort of, it's been pretty direct attack to roll back civil rights protections and equal employment opportunities from the federal administration. And while a lot of that is very, very new in terms of what's coming out of the White House, it's just something that I know you are so passionate about, and you've been such an incredible advocate. And how is DCLA responding to some of these, I guess, attacks? What would the agency do if the federal government ordered an end to DEI programs in New York City? Have you all discussed that at all?
Well, DEI is at the foundation of New York City. There's no way that New York City could exist, function without the creative voices from all over New York City that make it what it is. DEI can't be dismantled here in New York City. The level of diversity here is incredible. It's why people come from all over the world to visit New York City. It's why people choose to live here. And the creative energy that is here in New York City simply can't be dismantled. And we see that all across New York City. I just did a hard hat walking tour of the new Studio Museum in Harlem building. I just went to the Three Kings Day celebration at El Museo. I travel all across this city. I was just looking at pictures that I attended of the Chinese New Year, Year of the Snake at MoCA. I mean, this is the heart of diversity, equity, and inclusion. This is really essentially the birthplace. What we do here as second nature, or the air that we breathe in other parts of the nation, it's something that they've had to work harder at, but we are essentially the boilerplate, the blueprint for how diverse communities can work together.
I agree with that, and I knew you would give us hope, in your answer. When I decided to ask that. It's just we've created specific programs and even positions like within this building.
That's right.
To ensure that we're on track and that we're exceeding our goals. So it's I know for many organizations it's a bit intimidating to hear, but I think hearing from us that it's something that we intend to champion, rather than ever cower to.
I think something that we can look at also, which is a strong indicator, is that Mayor Eric Adams has prided himself on being the MWBE champion. And he has worked incredibly hard to infuse MWBE in all lines of communication here because he understands that MWBE wealth and contributions are what's going to take so many low-income communities out of that particular situation. When people have good paying jobs, when people are able to start their own businesses, when people are able to thrive and to be able to start a business, to start a company, to be able to start a not-for-profit. Those are critical ways to lift people up out of poverty, and that is essentially the work that I've been doing every single day here, but on that level of being a cultural leader in New York City.
And we thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Those are all the questions that I have for you today. I just want to thank you for bringing the information and the data, and we look forward to that being utilized or sort of publicized in any way that I feel is appropriate or helpful to the groups that are here. And I hope you'll enjoy hearing from them. I know you see them all the time,
That's right.
but they're here and they're fantastic, and I'm looking forward to their testimony.
Thank you so much. And I just wanted to add, we are going to make this information more publicly available. Now that we've compiled this information, we want to share it with our broader community. But also, I do always stay till the very end of the hearings, but unfortunately, because this hearing came on a little bit at the last moment, we have interviews at our agency that I have to participate in, but I will stay for as long as I possibly can. Thank you.
We're here for hiring. We
Right.
love to hear that. Okay, so we are going to now move on to public testimony. I now open the hearing for public testimony. I want to remind members of the public this is a formal government proceeding and that decorum shall be observed at all times. As such, members of the public shall remain silent at all times. The witness table is reserved for people who wish to testify. No video recording or photography is allowed from the witness table. Further, members of the public may not present audio or video recordings as testimony, but may submit transcripts of such recordings to the Sergeant-at-Arms for inclusion in the hearing record. If you wish to speak at today's hearing, please fill out an appearance card with the Sergeant-at-Arms and wait to be recognized. When recognized, you will have 2 minutes to speak on today's hearing topic, Pathways into the Arts and Cultural Workforce for New Yorkers. If you have a written statement or additional written testimony you wish to submit for the record, please provide a copy of that testimony to the Sergeant-at-Arms. And I will now call the first panel. Jamel Burgess, Carnegie Hall. David Rudenthal from Carnegie Hall. Oh, he's taking a pic. All right, you heard your name. We have quite the Carnegie Hall panel. Fabulous. I think it's Dimitri. Ian Sue. Ayana Cole.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for being here.
Good morning, Chair Rivera, members of the committee. My name is Jamel Burgess. I am the Assistant Director of Social Impact Programs at Carnegie Hall. With me here today is Ayana, David, Ian, and Dimitri, who you'll get to hear from shortly. We are glad that Carnegie is prioritizing, or that the council is prioritizing the workforce development, and grateful for the opportunity to testify about Carnegie's Hall Youth Program, the B-Side. And also thanks to the chair and to the commissioner for highlighting the B-Side earlier. The purpose of the B-Side is to promote careers in arts and culture in New York and to foster the next generation of innovative music industry leaders by helping New Yorkers ages 14 to 22 achieve the following: developing an understanding of the music business and the roles of music labels, cultivating decision-making and navigating professional scenarios, gaining hands-on experience to understanding how the music industry operates, and build a network of industry professionals and their peers and applying the knowledge gained in their careers. Over the course of this year's season, the B-Side will work with 65 65 participants from across New York City. They will engage in week-long intensive seminars followed by bi-weekly workshops implemented by Carnegie Hall team, our teaching artists, and guest faculty experts from the field. Students learn different career paths throughout the music industry, engage in conversations with experts, take field trips to recording studios, record labels, and other professional settings, and of course, attend concerts at Carnegie Hall. The B-side aims to address the lack of diversity in the business side of the music industry by encouraging participants from young people that traditionally are underrepresented in the field, particularly BIPOC youth. We are proud to say that B-side is a part of Speaker Adams' innovative criminal justice initiative, and outreach prioritizes communities that are impacted by the justice system. In addition, our collaborations with partners like ACS and community board organizations that work with youth that are justice impacted. To promote access to this program, the B-side is free to participants, and Carnegie Hall provides stipends, food, and Metro cards for all young people who are participating in our program. In B-side, we acknowledge that the business learning opportunities are few and far between and usually costly, and these programs are usually not represented by young people from the communities we serve. The B-side seeks to open the door for the creative economy for youth who are often denied these career paths. We thank the committee for your interest and investment in these programs, and we encourage the council to continue to support the important work that other programs by our cultural colleagues across the city are doing. Thank you for allowing me to testify today.
Good morning, and thank you to the committee for listening to our testimony. My name is Ian Su. It's an honor to be here. I'm 19 years old. I'm from Queens, and I'm an artist. I'm a producer. I'm an audio engineer. I love to play guitar, and I play live shows with my band. This year, we are going to Governor's Ball Music Festival 2025. And I didn't really know what to expect with the B-side when I first entered the program and I got accepted. I had nothing at that point in my life. It was in 2023, maybe about 2 years ago. I was finishing my senior year of high school, and the idea of being a musician and pursuing a career as a professional one was always a dream, but it always seemed out of reach. First thing when I entered the program that I found was that Carnegie Hall wasn't playing around. On the first day, we got to hear from artist management in Columbia Records. Over the course of the next week, Sony Music, Alamo Records, RCA Records, people who worked with some of the musicians that I myself idolize. I respected and still respect the B-side extremely highly, because from day one, they made me feel like I was a professional, even though I may not have had the footing that I do now. They gave me tools and knowledge that I could immediately start applying to my life, no matter where in the timeline of the career I was in. As an independent artist without a team of any kind, I really have to be my own manager. I have to handle my distribution, my marketing, my press releases. I have to reach out for my own interviews. I have to make my own documentaries if I want documentaries about myself. I have to book my own venues for shows and work with the organizers. And this is kind of a double-edged sword in that I get to control everything, but if I lose track of stuff, that stuff begins to control me. But because I got to learn about all this stuff through this incredible program, I never found it overwhelming or scary. B-side taught me to be humble in every conversation, no matter who I was talking to, and be eager to learn about their lives, but also carry confidence in me so that they would take me seriously. Ultimately, B-side set something in me, not just with information, but with the inspiration to work hard. And to close, I don't want to make it look like the B-side is something that gives you answers or a playbook. There's no playbook or formula in the music industry to achieving your dream in that. But it was the people who facilitated this program, people like Dr. Donald Garner and Miss Alexis Atkinson, and the people that I got to meet through this program that showed me that it was possible. Thank you.
Good morning.
Just make sure that wait, I have to know, you didn't even say your band's name.
I'm in 3 bands right now. I have my main project. Which is just Ian Su, and the band I'm going to Governor's Ball with is a band called the Kids Rock for Kids House Band, which is an incredible band of young but established musicians.
Great, awesome, congratulations.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you again for having us here. My name is Dimitri Jackson. I'm 22. I completed the B-side last year in 2024. I'm a songwriter, I play piano, I sing, also go to BMCC, which is right across the road from here. So I first moved to New York City in August of 2023 to pursue school in music. And of course, when I got here, the ability, the desire to be an artist was something that was growing inside of me. But I realized that passion without a sense of direction. Sometimes feels like a shot in the dark. And I first heard about the B-side through a fellow classmate, great singer, former BMCC student named Andre, who attended this program the year before me. A short while later, Andre now goes to Berklee College of Music on a full scholarship. Wow. And we are both members of the Youth Alumni Council here at the B-side. As an international student, balancing academics with the career and the social life can be extremely difficult, not to mention living so far away from close friends and family. But like Ian said, the community at the B-side really welcomed me with warmth and acceptance from the very first day. And this is something that I really wanted to stress the importance of, because as something that most people in their early adolescence or early 20s struggle with is finding a sense of identity. And in somewhere like New York, it's hard to. But I have to say that Carnegie Hall has made me realize that I'm on the right path. We all know the importance of music in our community, especially the impact it can have on young people. As a young artist and musician myself, navigating the waters of the music industry was very overwhelming and daunting without the right environment. The B-side has provided me and people like Ian with the space to grow and learn from some of the best in the industry, and it has really been a phenomenal experience. At first, I was worried that maybe I was, biting off more than I could chew, or perhaps underqualified. But like one of our great facilitators, Miss Alexis, said, there's a space in the room for all of you. And till this day, it's something that really sticks with me. So thank you.
Thank you so much, and congratulations on your success as well.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Ayana Cole. I'm the Director of Social Impact Programs at Carnegie Hall's Wild Music Institute, and we are complete. We'll take any questions you have.
Oh, okay, great. So how is the B-side program funded? Do you have financial needs that aren't being met?
I'm David Freudenthal. I'm the Government Relations Director. I'm going to take that one. Thank you for the question, Madam Chair. As Jamel referenced, we're grateful for the support the City Council has provided us through the Innovative Criminal Justice Initiative, which is a portion of the important funding toward this program. Our direct program costs for the B-side are about $330,000. Then you can double that when you look at the staff costs and kind of all, the whole thing. Right now, we are challenged, as much of the cultural field is, with some structural deficits and everything. So there's about 2/3 of this program that is not directly funded. And I would say that for our organization, and I'm sure we're not alone in this, everything that is where there's not committed funding is on the table, is at risk. Carnegie Hall has a deep commitment to its support to New Yorkers in school service, in community service, with work in juvenile justice and at-risk youth, a huge amount of work in early childhood and mental health and mental well-being. All of this work is unfortunately on the table in the year ahead, and we are grateful for the Council's consideration of in order to continue and expand this work that we take so seriously. And you heard from my colleagues. Oh, and I want to acknowledge, talking about the staff, we got Lisa and Bianca and Steve. It takes a village to do this work. And I'll just add in that, what's different from this between what you heard about and why this is so expensive to do, it's not like it's not an exposure program. This is deep, ongoing work with the participants. You get out of this what you put into it. And so it's just recognizing that, Carnegie Hall's committed in that way to spending the money to do this work correctly, to get to these outcomes and opportunities for the participants.
Do you have to promote the program, or do people find you? And how do you connect also with individuals who aren't in high school, maybe those with a GED or other high school equivalency program?
Yeah, we promote the program. Thank you for the question. We promote the program and invest pretty significantly in social media and try to talk to young people where they are and where they're getting information. We do pay particular interest to zip codes because we are looking to make sure that we are really recruiting deeply in New York City to young people who may be disconnected from school or work, in addition to, of course, being open to young people who hear about it because of their own resources or their parents' resources. But for young people who are not in high school or in high school equivalency programs, we do partner with the DOE's District 79 programs where they're working with young people who are either over age and undercredited or working excuse me, at night and going to school. So we, as well as community-based organizations. So we do a lot of community outreach in terms of learning what organizations are doing already and then partnering with them to either table at their events, go to programming, and talk to students and families in the communities where they are.
Thank you for that. Because obviously I can see Ian and Dimitri are here, and I would call you success stories. I hope you never feel underqualified again, because you're working out of Carnegie Hall. But besides that, I think you've worked really hard to get where you're at. And so I think many people in this room are proud of you. So there are clear examples here, amazing. What about data? Do you have data to show that B-Side is reaching its goals?
Yeah, we have, for the pilot year and the 2 years that followed, we did evaluation and continued tracking of our participants, and we also continue meeting with our participants after they're completed the beginner level of B-Side. So we have close to 90% of our young people are either in school or working. For example, a young woman, Maya, who couldn't be here with us today, she got a job recently at ASCAP and couldn't get off of work today, so a very good reason. Ella, who was one of our participants who connected with one of our guest faculty members from Rock Nation. She did apply and successfully get a internship at Rock Nation. We have Demori, who's at the College of Staten Island, who is currently majoring in communications. And then we have students like Sean, who is still trying to figure out his way and comes and meets with us each month, along with the support of our other staff, with our alumni. And you mentioned earlier, looking for affordable rehearsal space. Once our participants complete the B-Side and are part of this community, they have free rehearsal space at Carnegie Hall that they can use at any time. So we really try to create a community where we continue support. And this season, we are developing new evaluation and tracking as the cohorts continue to grow to make sure that we are tracking and supporting, understanding where young people are, and then looking at how we scaffold our programming to support our alum.
Oh, that's incredible. So I know you want to ensure that 2/3 of funding is coming in. Do you have plans for expanding the program, or are you just trying to maintain what is? And I'd also like to hear just from, would you call yourselves alumni? All right, so from the alumni, what you'd like to see the program do, like maybe expand. I'm sure maybe you tell friends or other artists about it, and how competitive it is to get in, considering, it's an expensive program to run for good purpose, of course.
I'll start with the last one first. It is a business program and it's not a music program. So I want to make sure that we're representing it in a way that a young person could have no experience, zero experience, still apply for the program. We're looking for young people who are curious. We happen to have amazing musicians who apply, and we're totally welcoming them as well, but you do not have to have any music experience to apply. You just need to be curious about careers in the business side of the music industry. Yes, we are looking, and in the current plans to expand, we're scaffolding. So right now, both gentlemen sitting next to me completed our beginner level programming. So we are in the process of planning an intermediate level program where we can focus more on specific career tracks or paths and build on what they've already learned and begin to have direct paths into internships, apprenticeships, and job shadowing opportunities. So we're working on that currently. And we are partnering with in the process of collaborating and partnering with an independent music publishing organization that's very interested in working with us and providing those type of internship spaces and helping us to prepare young people for internships. I think you said one more thing that I've forgotten now.
I was just checking in with alumni, seeing
Okay.
if they had any further feedback.
Oh, sorry. One last thing. Thank you. Cold medicine. I can't remember stuff. So, one last thing that we are committed to and have been doing this season is having very strategic conversations with our partners at ACS. As well as correctional health services, so that we are tapping into young people who are justice impacted. So it's happening right now, and as we picked this cohort of young people, so that a young person who is justice impacted, we're creating a pathway for them to be able to apply, even if they're in the process of transitioning out of ACS detention. So we're currently creating concrete steps for them to be able to participate. So that's another part of our expansion.
So I think something that I've actually mentioned this to one of the coordinators, Ms. Lisa in the back, is I think it would be great to see almost some form of like a final project at the end of the B-side in terms of, you have great musicians, you have great artists, you have people that want to be A&Rs, you have people that want to work in H&R. So I think it would be amazing to do some kind of like almost benefit festival / concert where you take the talents that you have with the music and you take these people that are interested in the behind the scenes and the technical, and every aspect of it is covered. And I think it would be great to show this is all for something and show how everyone can delegate roles to each other.
Cool.
I think it's always hard to answer this question because I always have ideas for how they could expand, and then they do it without me even asking. For example, after I finished my program, it was like a week long, I wished that I could reconnect with some of these people, and they started a council or committee of alumni who would meet together once a week and talk about how the program is going. I got to reconnect with some of the people that I met through this program. So I had a really great experience in that, and I'm glad that I'm still connected to the B-side in that way. They're really good at making sure that if you've been through this program, you stay connected. But definitely the B-side is something that I hope everybody who is even interested, just a little bit interested in the music industry and business, I hope that they can experience that. And with extended funding, with all of that, I hope that we can expand to more and more people and have the program be even larger scale. For example, my program was a week long. They've since moved on to once a week for an extended period of months, and I hope that that can continue to be something that keeps growing and reaches more people.
Thank you.
Is it okay if I just add one more thing to that? I'm sorry. I just want to say again, like, I think this is a great program, and it feels like something where obviously you need funding, obviously, to make things happen, but the most power of this program is kind of just in it in itself. Like, for me, it was my first time ever stepping foot at Carnegie Hall. So it kind of does something to you, and you think to yourself, wow, I am just a part of something so much bigger than me. And I think that really speaks for itself. Like, when more and more people join the program, it's like your first day there, you just already feel like, you're doing the right thing. So I hope it continues.
Yeah. It's like a culture shock in the best way possible, though.
Yep.
Right? All right. Well, thank you to both of you for sharing what you're up to, and of course to your amazing support team at Carnegie Hall, and thank you so much for your testimony.
Thank you.
All right. Next panel, Latia Morris from AMNH. Make sure. Erin Hatz Thomas, right? Thomas, okay. From the Botanical Garden. Laura Monjes Velasquez from the New York Hall of Science. Erin Prada from WCS. Yandel Ramirez from WCS. And Albelisa Perez from AMNH. Who'd like to start? Is the light on?
Okay, now it's working.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Hi, thank you, Chairwoman Rivera and members of the committee. My name is Erin Prada, and I serve as the Assistant Director of Youth Development at the Wildlife Conservation Society. WCS manages the Bronx Zoo, the New York Aquarium, the Central Park Zoo, the Prospect Park Zoo, and the Queens Zoo. And I'm also very excited to be here as I support the administration of the Sci Network NYC Collaboration Partnership. So thank you for your opportunity to let us address the committee today. Our 5 parks here in New York City not only rank among the city's most popular tourist destinations and family attractions, but also function as vital educational resources and employment hubs within their boroughs. Partially funded by the City of New York, these parks contribute to preserving endangered species while offering environmental education to thousands of educators and children. Additionally, they enable us to deliver diverse programming and interactive educational experiences. In New York City alone, WCS employs over 2,000 individuals and is one of the city's largest employers of youth. In 2018, with funding from the New York City Council and the Speaker, we developed the WCS Career Lattice to support the 1,900 young people ages 14 to 24 who participate in volunteer positions, internships, and part-time jobs at our 5 parks. This Integrated Career Pathways initiative ensures that youth from historically excluded groups gain expanded access to opportunities at our institutions, along with training, case management, and access to a rich network of professionals. Earlier, Commissioner Cumbo was mentioning, talking about the idea of a job fair. For anyone listening between the ages of 14 and 24, this Saturday at the Bronx Zoo is WCS's annual WCS Youth Jive. It is an interactive job fair for young people to not only learn how to enter into the pipeline at WCS, but to learn about all the volunteer internship and job opportunities. Building on the success of the WCS Career Lattice in 2022, we created Sci Network NYC, a partnership of 8 science-based cultural institutions who support New York City youth in building the confidence, skills, and social capital to advance in STEM fields. In 2024, collectively, our organizations hosted 1,100 interns who gained hands-on experience in fields such as animal care, horticulture, science communication, science research. Our youth earned more than $2.4 million in stipends and wages, and additionally, this is very important, 84% of our interns identify as people of color, as compared to 69% of New York City residents. Historically, internships have been accessible primarily to those with financial resources and social capital. Through Sci Network NYC, we strive to ensure that youth from all backgrounds can participate in science internships and benefit from these transformative opportunities. This is why a collaborative partnership like Sci NYC is vital. When you compare our statistics to the national statistics, in 2021, a quarter of the U.S. workforce worked in STEM occupations. That's 36.8 million workers. Black or African American workers comprised only 8% of workers in STEM occupations, which is lower than their percentage of the total workforce. The percentage of STEM workers that were Hispanic was 15% in STEM, compared with 18% of all workers. So having collaborations like Sci Network NYC to focus on the impact of our internships and recruiting young people from historically excluded backgrounds has a lot of impact. 77% of participants in 2024 reported that their internship helped them identify an interest in working or interning at cultural institutions in the future. And for many, these experiences have provided new perspectives on science, inspiring transformative career aspirations. And then just to wrap up, the Sci Network NYC program is the first of its kind in New York City, offering paid internships with wraparound services to over 1,000 youth annually. We look forward to continued partnership and support from the Council. With your continued support of $2 million in the FY26 budget, cultural institutions like WCS can continue empowering a diverse cohort of young New Yorkers with the skills and experiences needed to build meaningful, lifelong careers in STEM. I'd like to I'd like to introduce Yandel Ramirez, who is a high school intern was a high school intern at the Bronx Zoo.
Thank you, Chairwoman Rivera and the members of the committee for the opportunity to provide testimony today. My name is Yandel Ramirez, and I am 17 years old. I live in the Bronx, and I am a junior at an international baccalaureate world school. In the summer and fall of 2024, I had the opportunity to join Project True, Teens Researching Urban Ecology, an internship at the Bronx Zoo that connected me with an amazing team of mentors and the chance to conduct hands-on scientific research in the Bronx. During the program, I worked with a team of fellow high school students and my undergraduate mentor to study the American eel at the Bronx River dams. We collected water mops, examined macroinvertebrates, and monitored water quality, all while learning the ins and outs of ecological research. We spent weeks building our skills, learning about ecology, analyzing scientific articles, conducting literature review, developing communication and speaking skills, and designing research posters. Our findings were showcased at multiple research symposiums, providing a rewarding opportunity to share our work with others. The Project True team also supported me in applying for the Summer Youth Employment Program, allowing me to receive hourly wages for my Summer Project True internship. Beyond the research, Project True was filled with transformative experiences. We went on trips across the New York City, meeting other organizations and young people, exploring natural environments and discovering various career pathways. College preparation and other workshops taught me how to build a strong resume, prepare for interviews, and apply for scholarships, equipping me with the tools for my academic and professional future. More importantly, this internship instilled practical skills like time management, scientific writing, and teamwork while showing me how science and research can contribute to the understanding and protecting the environment. What truly made Project True special, however, was a sense of community. The mentors and my peers felt like family, creating an environment of trust and support that will remain for me for years to come. I am deeply grateful for this experience and for the relationships I built with the mentors who I know can rely guidance in the future. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Good morning, or I don't think it's afternoon yet. Okay. My name is Latia Morris, and I'm here today to provide my testimony of my experience at the American Museum of Natural History. My journey at the museum began when I was in high school, and I completed my first internship by participating in their high school intern program centered on science communication. The program focused on facilitating conversations with the public in the halls of the museum and discovering ways to relay information to a variety of audiences while ensuring their experience is both dynamic and engaging. At the time, I was a girl from Far Rockaway who knew next to nothing about anthropology. While completing the internship, I gained confidence in myself by becoming a public education professional in the museum by the age of 16. I had the badge, the uniform, everything. And I was using the resources provided to me to research and discuss complex topics like colonialization and cultural differences to visitors across all demographics. Emotionally, I was able to grasp concepts and perspectives that I normally wouldn't encounter in my usual environment. At 16, I was able to appreciate that successfully getting any point across to anybody requires a particular set of skills that I was able to develop through this program. It was extremely empowering being able to bridge the gap between the perspective of the curators and our visitors, strengthening my listening skills and empathy to truly understand the perspective of our visitors. The program was so valuable to me that I spent my summers with my aunt in Co-op City to continue coming to the museum even after my family moved to Suffolk County. Through the programs, I found mentors who inspired me to pursue a bachelor's degree in anthropology. And while I was attending Stony Brook University, I came back to the museum, this time completing their museum education internship program designed for undergraduate college students. Now, I sit before you at 22 as a museum's youth initiatives coordinator, where I use my ability to understand the perspectives of others, as well as my own experience, to advocate for New York City youth in our programs. At 16, I was inspired. I saw my future here. Since then, I have maintained a relationship with the museum for over 6 years and receiving unwavering support throughout the entire time. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Albelisa Perez, and I serve my community as the Senior Manager of Youth and Workforce Development at the American Museum of Natural History. My colleague, Doheny Sampura, has submitted a comprehensive testimony detailing the museum's workforce programs for the record today. I'm here to testify as a former participant of these programs and as someone who now manages the programs at the American Museum of Natural History. When I reflect on my journey, I think about the girl from the Bronx who commuted into Manhattan to go to El Museo del Barrio, to go to the International Center of Photography, to go to AMNH. At the time that I was participating in these programs, they were unpaid. What has shifted is, across the sector, is the importance of making these opportunities paid for the young people who participate in them, because we understand that there is an economic crisis for a lot of our young people who are facing, hurdles in terms of their housing, in terms of their ability to provide for their family units. And so this is incredibly important for us, and I think important for the sector at large. The Sign Network NYC fosters STEM and cultural career development opportunities across all 5 boroughs. So we are in every single borough. In fiscal 25, the funding for the network that we received at AMNH supported 2 of our programs, the Science Research Mentoring Program for high school students and the Museum Education Experience Program for our undergraduate students. The research program enables young people to join world-renowned scientists at AMNH and engage in authentic research opportunities. They are asking questions about the natural world, about urban ecology, about climate change, and they are producing genuine research that oftentimes gets published in academic peer-reviewed articles, launching them into their careers in STEM. The Museum Education Experience Program develops skills in public speaking, scientific communication, group facilitation, and obviously these are not just foundational skills for the workforce, they're very much adaptable skills to any career. We're so fortunate to have alumni of our programs working across the sector in our city already giving back. Nick Martinez, who is VP of Education and Public Engagement at the Museum of the City of New York, is an alumni of the Museum Education Experience Program. Jonatul Ahmed, who's currently working in global business development at AMNH, is an alumni of our Science Research Mentoring Program, but there are scores of others who are working in such varied roles as media communications and animal husbandry and live exhibits, and working across the city in both the formal and informal sector as educators. So we also make teachers. So thank you so much for listening to our testimony today. I hope to continue to expand on this great work.
All right, awesome. Good morning, Chairperson Rivera and members of the City Council Culture Committee. Thank you for the opportunity to share my story today. My name is Laura Velasquez, and I am the STEM Engagement Coordinator at the New York Hall of Science. Before this, I served as the Youth Engagement Assistant Coordinator at the Queens Zoo. Prior to that, I held roles as Visitor Engagement Associate at Prospect Park Zoo, Visitor Experience Associate at the New York Hall of Science, and Conservation Educator at Alley Pond Environmental Center. 3 titles I proudly balanced simultaneously as I pursued my passion for STEM education. But it all began as a discovery guide at the New York Aquarium, an opportunity that would go on to shape the rest of my life. I first discovered the Discovery Guide volunteer program as a teen through WCS's Job, Internship, and Volunteering Expo, also known as JIVE, an event that sparked my passion for STEM education. At the time, JIVE was a small event on the Coney Island Boardwalk. Now in its 9th year, it has grown into a large-scale event at the Bronx Zoo, reaching hundreds of NYC youth with workshops, resources, and resume help. During my time in youth development at WCS, I had the privilege of helping facilitate this event, inspiring the next generation, a truly full-circle moment in my career. From that point on, I sought out every opportunity that would allow me to continue down this path. I've had the privilege of working at incredible institutions, with each role building upon the last and propelling me further in my career. I owe much of this growth to the opportunities provided by the Psi Network, opportunities I might never have accessed otherwise. As STEM Engagement Coordinator at NYSCI's Friedman Center, I plan and execute STEM-focused events and professional development workshops for NYC high school and college-aged youth. covering topics like climate change and sustainability to career expos and college essay boot camps. They provide vital opportunities for the community and open doors for hundreds of students each year. Helping young people explore the inspiring world of STEM has been one of the most rewarding parts of my career. The work we do is essential, yet we face increasing budget cuts year after year. These cuts limit our ability to expand our reach and provide important services to the communities that need them the most. While we've done our best to maximize the resources we have, I'm concerned that as funding for cornerstone institutions continues to decline, the quality of these transformative experiences may also be at risk. Despite these challenges, I remain deeply committed to the mission of NYSCI, the Friedman Center, and the SCI Network. As youth face growing challenges and the burden of inheriting systems that often fail to prioritize their needs, these programs are more important than ever. Youth deserve the same opportunities that shaped my journey, and I am determined to ensure they have access to them. Thank you for the opportunity to continue doing so.
Hi, thank you. My name is Erin Hasse Thomas. I'm the Assistant Director of HR and Engagement at the Queens Botanical Garden. We're one of the 8 cultural institutions part of the SCI Network. We have 39 acres in Flushing, Queens, and we're a stabilizing organization in our community that offers environmental education, engaging programming, and cultural activities. We provide open space and trees and flowers and resources for people, but also our most important undertaking is to foster sustainable choices, decisions that protect and nurture our environment and our community. We're a small but mighty organization, and despite incredibly limited resources, thanks to partnerships of NYSCI and other funding that comes through us, we were able to host almost 200 youth internships in 2024. And these interns participate in things like horticulture, farm and compost, but also public programming, visitor services, administration. A lot of times it's an opportunity for youth to discover all the different ways they can contribute to cultural organizations. As a leader in environmental education, we also started our Growing Justice internship last year, where 30 high school students were able to reach thousands of community members through food production and distribution, peer education, workshops on food justice and nutrition, and advocacy on food policy and sustainability. We also hosted over 50 summer interns where they learn meaningful job skills that will help them build sustainable careers in the future. The partnership with SCI Network provides essential training to our intern mentors that are able to provide these opportunities, and also educate youth that they are part of something much bigger than even the Queens Botanical Garden, that they are part of a network in New York City, and opens that up for them. In order to reach every corner of Queens, we partner with community organizations, with schools and other organizations that help attract talent from every corner of Queens to the garden to make sure we're offering those opportunities. And then this year, we were also able to increase our opportunities with our farm and compost project. And give people an opportunity to experience sustainable agriculture, community, and education in the middle of the city. So we're committed to expanding this access to STEM and environmentally focused internships in our community, and the continuing and new support from elected officials to ensure that QBG remains a source of environmental education and job skill building opportunities for the youth of New York.
Fabulous. Thank you so much. And I just want to mention, I mean, some of the work that you're doing, you're already like at a master's level, in terms of what you're collaborating on and producing and researching. So it's incredible. How does the program track higher education enrollment or career placement in STEM fields? If you do.
Yeah, sorry, yes. We would track that through our alumni alumni tracking progress, and among our institutions, we're all at different spaces with that. Some of us are tracking progress within our institutions. Some of us are doing longitudinal studies of specific internship programs, which then would include, after those internship programs, where are our young people going? What colleges or universities are they going into? What degree programs are they entering into? And are they finishing those degree programs? So just to give you an example of the Shrimp Network, and we have Project True. Yandel spoke about his experience in Project True. We have studies that show that an experience, real world, hands-on experience in a STEM career is going to sustain a young person's ability to actually complete a STEM degree program. And that without those experiences, there is data to support that young people do not complete their STEM degree programs. So getting back to your original question about are we tracking, we are, but we're all tracking in different ways, and that's actually one of the things that we really need additional support on scaling, is that to really be able to have transitions of our interns from our organizations into the cultural sector or into the New York City STEM sector, we really need to have a unified understanding of our alumni, so that our alumni are not just moving internally within our organizations, but that we have the ability to move them across our organizations. And collectively, that's where our impact is for a young person. Collectively, the amount of opportunities we have is just at a whole other scale when you start to do that.
And what role does the participants' feedback play in shaping future iterations of the program?
You can answer.
So in the Museum Education Experience program, we have a lot of reflective activities that happen with our young people as they complete the program and throughout the program. So the feedback is ongoing. We create what's called a community of practice, and that's central to the way that we think about our work in the space. And that means that we're learning as much as they're learning from us. And so that's embedded into the design and structure of the program. With what Aaron had mentioned regarding the longitudinal study, it's a 10-year longitudinal study on persistence in STEM. That's NSF funded. So that is soon to be coming to a close. But we're hoping to, again, take that learning from that longitudinal study and apply it more broadly across the network, because it does need a pretty robust infrastructure in order to do that level of tracking and be able to provide that level of analysis. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all for your testimony, and I'm very hopeful and excited for you both, and of course your peers and your colleagues and your future. And I thank all of you for supporting these amazing leaders. Thank you for your testimony.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next panel is Jacob Smith from Roundabout, Jennifer DiBella, Manuel Moroquin, and Hannah D'Amico from IATSE. Start when you're ready.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair Rivera and members of the Cultural Affairs Committee for inviting me, Jacob, Manny, and Hannah to testify this morning. And thank you to Commissioner Cumbo for her continuing advocacy. I'm Jennifer DiBella, the Director of Education at Roundabout Theater Company. Today's hearing centers a topic I'm very passionate about: pathways to meaningful careers for New Yorkers. The Theatrical Workforce Development Program, or TWDP, is a 3-year vocational training fellowship for New Yorkers ages 18 to 24. Roundabout created TWDP in 2016 in partnership with the International Alliance of Theatrical Stage Employees. TWDP addresses systemic inequities within the arts workforce by supporting pathways for young people who are underrepresented in technical theater. It also addresses an urgent need within the theater industry for trained technical theater workers. Each year, TWDP trains up to 60 fellows for careers in technical theater. They complete a rigorous curriculum of progressive skills development, along with job placements at a network of over 50 partner organizations. They earn wages through all 3 years of the program, and their rates increase as they gain experience. Based on the program's success, we expanded TWDP this year to include 5 paid fellowships for early career arts administrators like Jacob, who is with us today. The most important contributions to TWDP success come from the fellows themselves. Through their hard work, talent, and passion, they have turned TWDP into a nationally recognized incubator for in-demand technicians. They have given the American theater a boost during a time of precarity and put our industry on a path to greater equity and sustainability. Theater is essential to New York City's identity, and TWDP connects our industry with the local talent it needs to thrive. With the city's partnership, TWDP has trained over 100 fellows. I'm so grateful to be here today celebrating that with you, and I'm excited to pass the mic to Manny and Jacob and Hannah. Thank you.
Hello, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much, Chair Rivera and council members, for inviting me to speak today. My name is Manuel Marroquin. I'm from Brooklyn, New York. I'm an alumni of Roundabout's TWDP Technical Fellowship. I joined TWDP in fall 2018 after graduating from Juan Wells School of the Arts in Brooklyn, which is one of Roundabout's partner schools. The staff there told me about TWDP, recommended that I applied. When I joined TWDP, I knew that I wanted to work as a stagehand, but I didn't know much about technical skills required, how to build a career, or how to become a member of the union. My experience at TWDP has been life-changing. I trained in carpentry, lighting, and sound. I got matched with an IATSE mentor, Chet Green, who supports my career today. And I completed my first internship at the Glimmerglass Festival in Cooperstown, New York, and it was my first experience working full-time crew position for a production run. Since Glimmerglass, I've worked on and off Broadway at a variety of venues, arts organizations around the city. For over 2 years, I worked staff as a stagehand at City Center Stage 1, associated with Manhattan Theater Club's off-Broadway stage, where I helped bring world premiere plays to life through my work on those productions. I met entry-level requirements to join the IATSE Local 1 Stagehand Union in fall of 2023. I'm proud to be the first TWB alum to join Local 1 and excited to help more alums on the way to joining the union. Today, I work on Broadway as the fly operator at the Helen Hayes Theater, where I lower and raise sets, curtains, and anything that requires lifting. I also serve as a TWDP alumni mentor so that each year I can help connect fellows to jobs or working alongside me on union contracts, which has been really exciting. One of the most important things to me about TWDP is the way it creates a community among fellows, alumni, and it means a lot to me that I can now support the fellows who come after me. Thank you so much for your time. I look forward to your questions.
Hello, good morning. My name is Jacob Smith, and I'm from the Bronx, New York. Thank you, Chair Rivera and City Council members, for inviting me to speak today. Approaching my last days as an undergrad, I had theorized what my future would look like and dreaded the unknown. I came across a job position posting for the TWDP Admin Fellowship, and my rumination was eased by the idea of a paid opportunity to pursue my curiosity and passion. I've loved theater since I first saw Annie off-Broadway as a child, but my desire to pursue a career in the arts came from my semester abroad in London, which is when I first learned about arts administration, arts education, and all the work that happens behind the scenes. Reading the job description, I could see myself operating open night parties, building support for arts education through government and foundation outreach, and project managing the online auction for our annual gala. I've always had a passion for relationship building, so working in development felt right. I have learned so much more than I expected in these past 4 months about event planning, donor research, and cultivation. In addition to practical experience, we fellows also receive professional development training that includes financial literacy, emotional wellness, and networking opportunities. These sessions have not only diversified my skills as a professional, but have also provided me with the knowledge and resources necessary for managing life as a young adult. It has been extremely helpful to have multiple sessions on financial literacy, during which I've learned about credit, savings, and investment. It's also been helpful to have the support from Roundabout's social work supervisor, who has helped me create a necessary balance. I'm thrilled to be in the first cohort of the TWDP Admin Fellowship program at Roundabout for the next 8 months, working with such a supportive team, many who are here today, and experiencing the camaraderie of 4 other fellows across the organization. As time moves forward, I foresee myself working my way up to soliciting major gifts from generous constituents that I will get to know through our shared love of the performing arts. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you, Chair Rivera and members of the Cultural Affairs Committee for inviting me to testify this morning. My name is Hannah D'Amico, and I am an international representative with the IATSE Education and Training Department. The skilled tradespeople who construct sets, operate lights, and make scenery fly onto the stage at just the right moment are unseen. As an audience member, this is part of what makes going to the theater magical. As a student, the invisibility of this workforce makes it hard to imagine yourself as one of them. The first step to finding a career, after all, is knowing it exists. As a representative of the IATSE at New York City Career Fairs, on more than one occasion, guidance counselors have expressed surprise on discovering not only that these jobs exist, but that they are good careers. Exposure matters. In 2012, the IATSE and the Roundabout Theater Company partnered to create Hidden Career Path Days. Together with Roundabout Theater Education's program, we present 4 Hidden Career Path Days throughout each school year, each showcasing a different behind-the-scenes career. At every event, volunteer IATSE members present interactive demonstrations of their craft, guiding students as they learn how to focus a spotlight, tie a clove hitch knot, conduct a fast costume change, or curl a wig, to name just a handful of the activities. At the end of each day, the students go on tours of Broadway theaters and New York City cultural institutions such as the Metropolitan Opera and Radio City Music Hall, all led by IATSE members who speak not only of their theaters and technical skills, but also of their own career path. The impact of this program has been made evident by the students themselves. We recently received an email from an IATSE lighting technician. She was participating in a talk pack for the Broadway show & Juliet. A student approached her after the Q&A to excitedly tell her that she remembered her from Hidden Career Path Day, and that hearing her stories about climbing around on the catwalks had inspired her, telling the member, "You're the reason I decided to want to do this for a living." For the workers in our crafts, being a union member makes living a middle-class life in a freelance business possible. In a unionized workplace, progress on issues of diversity, equity, and inclusion hinges on the relationship between unions and employers and their ability to create roadmaps for equitable opportunities for the workers of the future. That is what this program and the TWDP, which grew from Hidden Career Path Days, do. The IATSE is very, very proud of this work and continues to partner with Roundabout. We're really proud of this program, and I think it's important to say that my colleagues Jennifer Halpern and Pat White, who really spearhead this effort for the union, they're not here today, but I'm here speaking on their behalf, so I would like to mention them as well.
Well, thank you so much. We're appreciative for their work, and of course, everyone on this panel, fabulous testimony. Can you talk a little bit about the wages? What kind of support does Roundabout provide to fellows, and how do you encourage retention in the program?
Absolutely. So this is an earn-to-learn model. So fellows are paid minimum wage during their first year in training, but what we do to track impact is to really track wages. So we see that at the end of the program, they're earning up to $35 an hour and up to $75 an hour for overtime and holiday pay. So we really start to see income growth and wage growth, and that's one of the big key indicators of success. We're lucky that 75% of folks who have gone through the program are now working in the industry, and we have, I think, over 50 people on track to join the union, like Manny, which is great, so we can really see that transition into union middle-class jobs.
And how are IATSE mentors selected? What specific guidance do they provide throughout the 3 years of the program? And is there anything else you want to say about this very interesting union partnership?
Yeah, so so the Roundabout and the IA partner to select the union mentors. Again, I wish Jennifer Halpern was here. She really does the work at partnering with Jen and everyone at the Roundabout to select these mentors from just a group of IATSC Local 1 and Local 764, which is the Wardrobe Union, Local 798, which is the Hair and Makeup Union, to connect these really, really dedicated volunteer members with the Roundabout, and the Roundabout helps pair them with students based on some type of selection process.
I can add a little bit more.
Yes,
so,
please.
So the IATSC staff, education staff, are actually at the table for the very first interview. So they're meeting fellows from day one, and they're starting to think about personality matches, trade matches. You mentioned your mentor. So they're looking sort of matchmaking, essentially, for people who are in the same trade area, if they're specializing in audio or electrics, and also personality, sometimes borough, in terms of location, so that we can connect people based on geographic location as well. Do you want anything?
Absolutely. I would just want to say that Roundabout at Education Roundabout does a really good job during this 3-year process of learning what you like, right? So they introduce you to these lovely crafts, and as we all know, and we're all growing in life, things change, right? You see one thing, you're like, oh, this is really interesting. They take note of that, and they say, okay, since you live in Brooklyn, we actually have someone who works in Brooklyn, and his profession is sound at Brooklyn College. So they do a really good job of pairing you mentors who work in the business and who are in the business till this day, guiding you to places that you've never seen before. And you're like, wow, this is really cool.
Well, I think it's amazing also the diversity of work. It's because you mentioned like donor solicitation and event planning, and that is just as important as, you know, funding and supporting this ecosystem of amazing workers that make this city what it is. So I just want to thank you for this program and for all that you do and for your testimony. Thank you.
Thank you for the time.
Thank you.
Thank you for the time.
Okay, Kimberly Olson from Arts and Education Roundtable, Lisa Gold, Francine Garber-Cohen, Stephanie Nantel, and Nicole Tuzian, from Dance Wave. Yeah, hi. Who's left?
Thank you, Chair Rivera and the City Council, for your support of the cultural workforce development in New York City. My name is Kim Olson, and I'm proud to be the Executive Director of the New York City Arts and Education Roundtable. We are an arts education service organization working to improve and advance arts ed in New York City through professional development, advocacy, regranting, and community building. I'm writing as part of the It Starts With the Arts Coalition to testify in the importance of workforce development opportunities in the arts and culture sector. According to the Comptroller's most recent economy dashboard, together, New York City's creative industries employed an estimated 274,000 people in 2022, up 3.4% in 2017, and modestly exceeding the 2.2% increase in total employment in the city. A staggering 12.3% of our country's creative workforce jobs are based here in New York City alone. That's a lot of creative workers and a lot of creative jobs. We at the Roundtable consider workforce development through the lens of continuing professionalization, from recruitment and training into entry-level positions through leadership development opportunities. We don't want to just prepare folks to enter the workforce. We want to support their development and training into more senior-level positions so that they can continue to grow and work in the sector. For us, that takes the shape of partnering with CUNY Cultural Corps to provide professional development to their full cohort, as well as hosting an intern. And also, we work with hundreds of organizations and thousands of cultural workers each year, providing professional development opportunities to support growth at all points of the workforce. These opportunities, including our New York State Teaching Artist Mentorship Program, offer skills and network building as vehicles for career advancement and sustainability. We also host an annual job fair featuring 50+ arts and cultural organizations each May at Hunter College. When talking about arts and workforce development, it would also be remiss if I didn't mention how critical arts education opportunities are to preparing our city's workforce of tomorrow. Research shows arts education programs prepare students for the 21st century workforce by developing the skills necessary to acquire and retain a job. Such competencies developed through these arts education opportunities, including problem solving, attention to nuance, adaptability, empathy, visualization of goals and outcomes, decision making, and so much more. In addition to supporting general workforce competencies, arts competencies in and of themselves can be highly marketable in today's economy. It's for all these reasons that we recommend that arts education be present in all New York City schools, and that our city works to facilitate more intentional interaction between education, economic development, and arts policy leaders. Meaningful workforce development programs today means a stronger cultural workforce tomorrow. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Councilmember Rivera. Thank you for the opportunity to testify. I'm Lisa Gold. I'm the Executive Director of the Asian American Arts Alliance. We are a 41-year-old nonprofit service organization that works to ensure greater representation, equity, and opportunities to AAPI artists and arts organizations. And I also am a member of the Mayor's Theater and Live Performance Industry Council, and I participate on the Workforce Accessibility Committee. So this is an issue that is very dear to my heart. I want to thank you for raising the issue of asking how cultural organizations can learn about opportunities for workforce development. I don't think I got a really good answer on that. It is hard, as you noted, like my community, like 70% are either first or second generation. And I am the only one in my family that works in the arts. I have doctors and lawyers and finance people. I am the only one. So people don't recognize, especially in the AAPI community and the immigrant community, of the viability of these actual careers of good paying jobs. So it's really important to fund the organizations like ours, small organizations. We need a separate funding initiative to support these. We do professional development programs. We do private-public partnerships. We hook up aspiring artists with Disney to do live audition workshops. We have fellowship programs where I got one of my fellows a job at MoMA working for his mentor. Like, we do that. We seed the pipeline, but we need the funds. It can't come out of CDF funds. That is not baselined. It's reduced every year. We have to claw that money back, and we need a separate source or stream of income to ensure that we can support the workforce here. They need portable health care benefits. They need housing. They need equitable opportunities. And with DEI under fire, so many of my resources now are being pulled away from the work that I can do to actually protect my community. I'm going to meetings on how to ensure the stability and the health of my organization. I'm afraid that we are under target. So we need financial support. We need that baseline, and we need dedicated funding streams for organizations like ours that make a huge difference in our communities, especially immigrant and underserved communities. So thank you.
Well, thank you. I'm Fran Garber Cohen of Regina Opera Company, located in Sunset Park. Regarding the pathways to careers in the arts in New York City, I would like to stress the importance of training which Regina Opera provides for its musical artists to prepare them for future employment in New York City. The following was sent to Regina Opera by a debut artist, soprano Yeson June, expressing her gratitude for the training at Regina Opera. And I quote, "Participating as Nedda in Regina Opera's production of Il Pagliacci represents an extraordinary opportunity to challenge myself as a vocalist and performer. My goals for this include mastering the intricate musical and emotional nuances of Nedda's character, refining my ability to convey authentic emotion through my voice and movement, and enhancing my overall stage presence. I also aim to deepen my understanding of dramatic interpretation and character development, ensuring that every aspect of my performance is both vocally and theatrical compelling. The professional experience differs greatly from my prior performances as a student. While student performances are educational and often supported by a forgiving environment, this role of NEDA requires me to deliver a polished, professional-level interpretation in collaboration with experienced artists and for an audience with high expectations. Additionally, this experience provides a rare opportunity to work in the competitive New York City opera scene, which will undoubtedly push me to grow and excel. I am to balance the technical aspects of my singing with the expressive demands of the role, maintaining a standard of excellence that aligns with professional expectations. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you to Chair Rivera and the City Council for the opportunity to testify today. My name is Stephanie Nantel, and I am the Senior Director of Programs at Education Through Music, a nonprofit organization dedicated to bringing music education to underserved students and under-resourced schools in New York City. For over 30 years, ETM has been committed to improving the quality of education in New York City public schools by integrating music education into the core curriculum. ETM partners with 55 schools to support 20,000 students each year in all 5 boroughs in almost every community in New York City. We provide trained teachers, instruments, a comprehensive music curriculum, and 100 hours of teacher professional development to ensure a thriving music program at all of our partner schools. Today, I'm here to highlight our role in workforce development for music teachers and our efforts to help them achieve certification to teach in New York City public school system. The shortage of qualified music educators in New York City schools is a significant barrier to equitable access to arts education. According to the most recent New York City Department of Education Annual Arts and Schools Report, over 700 New York City public schools still do not have a music teacher. And sadly, the children at these schools are overwhelmingly low income and children of color. ETM directly addresses this challenge by providing quality teachers because of our robust professional development programs, mentorship opportunities, and a clear pathway for aspiring teachers to achieve state certification. Through our workforce development initiatives, we aim not only to prepare exceptional music educators, but to create stable, fulfilling career opportunities for individuals passionate about teaching in the arts. Our teacher training and certification programs are designed to meet the needs of educators at various stages of their careers. This includes professional development. ETM offers extensive training in music pedagogy, classroom management, and culturally responsive teaching practices. Our workshops and seminars are tailored to prepare teachers for the unique challenges of working at diverse, high-need schools. Mentorship and support. Each teacher in our program is paired with a dedicated mentor, an experienced music educator who provides guidance, feedback, and encouragement. The mentorship ensures that our teachers are well-equipped to inspire and engage students. Certification assistance. ETM collaborates with higher education institutions and other stakeholders to help teachers navigate the certification process, including meeting New York State requirements and passing necessary exams. Our support system includes test preparation, coursework recommendations, and financial assistance for all fees. We thank City Council for prioritizing arts education and continuing to support initiatives that strengthen the workforce development and opportunities for teachers. We look forward to continuing our partnership with the City Council to allow programs like ours to help provide more teachers with the opportunity for training and certification support, which will help expand access to music education to more underserved schools. Together, we can ensure that every child in New York City has the transformative power of music education while also building a strong and diverse workforce of skilled educators. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Nicole Tuzin, and I'm the Executive Director of DanceWave. Chair Rivera and members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to provide testimony on behalf of DanceWave. DanceWave serves 6,200 people each year from all 51 city council districts and beyond, and invests over $1 million in employing artists and arts workers each year, including hosting interns from SYEP, CUNY Cultural Corps, and the New York University. Our service programs support pathways to careers in arts and culture, especially for youth from underrepresented communities. DanceWave Through College and Beyond, or DTCB, is the nation's only workforce development program for dance of its size and scope. DTCB aims to ensure professional training and collegiate dance programs reflect the breadth and diversity of the field, providing year-round education and resources to support high school-aged youth with their first steps towards careers in the arts. DTCB has facilitated over 3,000 transitions into higher education with over $16 million in college scholarships awarded through our program over the past decade. DanceWave is uniquely positioned to provide focused career development support, helping youth to understand, prepare for, and navigate the vast career options available to them. We intentionally prioritize outreach to our wide network of over 50 New York City school partners, where we engage thousands of students each year, as well as peer organizations such as Jamel Gaines Creative Outlet, Move NYC, and Brooklyn Ballet. We provide free access to DTCB for New York City youth who otherwise would not have access to the program and who are often first-generation college students. With the arts sector fueling the workforce and local economy, programs like DTCB will only help to strengthen our city. I encourage the committee to continue advocating for funding and to consider how community-based organizations like DanceWave can serve as a resource to City Council, including but not limited to informing and supporting proposed legislation like the jointly sponsored Introduction Number 700, a local law requiring DYCD to establish a college admissions and counseling program to prospective college students and their families. These initiatives can and should be fully inclusive of local programs like DTCB and all of ours that support college preparation and career development in the arts. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much to this panel and you know, for your honesty. I feel like the percentage of schools without arts programs certainly doesn't help people see the arts sector as a possible career. And we want to make the arts as accessible as possible. So thank you for paying attention to some of the questions I try to ask on how we can actually create something that's in addition to the funding that's already very stretched very thin and very competitive. So I just want to thank this panel for your work. I'm looking forward to getting together in the very near future and hearing some feedback on how we can just improve access and really just hear back from you on what the city and the council can be doing specifically to really just support you. Thank you so much. Thank you. And thank you for the stories you've shared as well. All right, the next panel is Lindsay Bueller-Maliko from New 42, Kate Madigan from The Public, Rachel Neches from the Center for an Urban Future. Oh, sorry, Rachel, sorry. Okay. And Courtney French from Jamaica Arts Center. All right, who'd like to start? Is your mic on?
Thank you. Appreciate it. Better. I'm Lindsay Maliakel, Vice President of Education and Public Engagement at New 42 and New Victory Theater, where our mission is to make extraordinary performing arts a vital part of everyone's life from the earliest years onward. And since we opened the New Victory's doors in 1995, our entire front of house department has always been young New Yorkers in a paid workforce development program called the New 42 Youth Corps. It is important that we welcome our student and family audiences into a theater with staff who reflect New York City, but it has been a long uphill battle to welcome those same Youth Corps staff members into a cultural field that reflects them. Recent research has shown that economic progress can be drastically influenced by a few things: early mentorship, pursuing and completing a degree, and a first job that has opportunities for advancement. Commissioner Cumbo's introduction of her own background was a perfect example of that research, actually. These kinds of programs that we have run for all these years have a really proven track record, and if we want the creative heart of New York City to beat with the full spectrum of New Yorkers, we have to support these pathway programs. The over 1,500 young people who have taken part in the New 42 Youth Corps since 1995 now work all over the city, from Disney to Roundabout to St. Anne's to New Group and beyond. And almost 20% of our own current full-time staff started their first cultural job in the Youth Corps program. About 10 years ago, we expanded the program from serving mostly high school students to creating a dedicated partnership with CUNY. We hire community college students and support their college success. We also added a full-time fellowship for our own alumni and alumni of the CUNY Cultural Corps. We are committed to a creative economy filled with all New Yorkers, and we hope that City Council will continue to be a partner toward that goal. We have lost a large portion of our dedicated funding for these programs over the last few years. We would love that cultural job fair, and we would also love an impact study that helps all of us understand where our young people grow and go in their cultural careers. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair Rivera and committee members and staff. Thank you for calling this important hearing. The Public Theater is pleased to share testimony on our work concerning this topic. There are many critical issues currently facing the entire culture and arts community. One of these issues is the cultivation of a skilled, diverse workforce for the American theater. It is no secret that choosing a career in theater comes with taking risks both artistically and economically. A plethora of barriers preclude countless artists from ever realizing their artistic aspirations. These hurdles include low-paying or unpaid internships and entry-level positions, scarcity of said positions, and most prevalent, a lack of institutional connections. Other systemic roadblocks include racial and educational prejudice. Due to these barriers, many artists wait a lifetime for their breakthrough into the industry. The Public Theater's mission is to operate on the principles that theater is an essential cultural force and that art and culture belongs to everyone. The Public continues the life work of our visionary founder, Joe Papp, as a civic institution engaging both on stage and off with some of the most important ideas with social issues today. Our institution recognizes the systemic barriers that prevent fresh and diverse talent to emerge within the American theater, and we are committed to offering not only justly compensated part-time fellowships and full-time resident artist positions, but also ensuring impartial and equitable selection of individuals to these positions. Each of our programs offer an encompassing curriculum that ensures both administrative and artistic development. Currently, the Public Theater is host to 6 part-time fellows in collaboration with CUNY with support from the Miranda Family Foundation, the Teresa Tai Family Foundation, and many other generous donors that support this initiative. And we also have 3 artists in residence. Just to quickly summarize, our fellows started this past September and are from Brooklyn College and Hunter College, our inaugural partners to the Robust Workforce Development Program. And our 3 artists in residence are concluding their time with the Public Theater, and we will offer a network of resources, and we will stay in communication with them after the residencies have ended. Thank you so much for your time.
Hello. Good afternoon. My name is Rachel Netchis, and I am the data researcher at the Center for an Urban Future, an independent research organization focused on building a stronger and more equitable New York City. I'll be sharing today's testimony on behalf of our editorial and policy director, Eli Dvorkin. Thank you for the opportunity. I'd like to begin by commending Chair Rivera and the committee for highlighting the importance of strengthening the city's creative economy and expanding pathways into the arts and culture workforce for New Yorkers. The creative economy, including advertising, film and TV, fashion, architecture, and design, and independent artists, employs more than 300,000 New Yorkers, has grown significantly over the past 2 decades, and pays well above the citywide median wage. But these industries have a long way to go before they look like the rest of New York City. Our recent report found that Black workers hold fewer than 8% of the city's advertising jobs, but represent nearly 21% of the city's total workforce. In fact, New Yorkers of color are underrepresented across the creative economy. There are a number of actions that the city should take to help expand access to careers in culture and the broader creative economy. One of the most important next steps should be to launch a creative economy talent pipeline initiative aimed at boosting career pathways for underrepresented New Yorkers into the city's creative sector. This effort should incubate and expand initiatives and partnerships with creative economy employers and nonprofits, many of which receive little, if any, city funding today, replicate the success of CUNY 2X Tech for the creative sector through a CUNY 2X Creative initiative, and build on innovative partnerships developed by some of the city's career and technical education high schools. The city also has an opportunity to put artists to work by addressing some of New York's biggest challenges, harnessing their creativity to advance solutions in housing, education, climate change, and more. A renewed ongoing version of the NYC Artist Corps could help do just that. Thank you for the opportunity to testify today and for bringing attention to the importance of expanding pathways to creative careers.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for having us here, Chairperson Rivera. My name is Courtney French. I'm the Artistic Director for the Jamaica Center for Arts and Learning. Hello. I bring you greetings from the Jamaica Center for Arts and Learning, located on Jamaica Avenue in Southeast Queens. We are the only CIG in this part of Queens. We operate out of 2 buildings, serving our community in disciplines of dance, theater, music, visual arts, and arts education. Today, I will avoid speaking of our mission or glowingly about our freshly minted 5-year strategic plan. What I will tell you about is Daniel. You might ask, who is Daniel? Well, Daniel apprehensively asked to see the manager, at the time, yours truly, and I saw a young black boy filled with bewilderment. He had just graduated. He said his name was Daniel. He lived with his 3 older brothers and younger sister with their mom next to the 40 projects in Queens. He says, "Can I work here?" he asked, while admiring the lights in the grid. "Can I volunteer?" He paused. "I'll do it for free." He left his number and promised to come back for a visit. A week later, we hired Daniel as an usher. He was affable, astute, inquisitive. By sheer proximity and observation, he learned how to set up and operate our mobile audio system. He then learned how to actually, proficiently to operate our space sound system. In 6 months, he became proficient at these skills by sitting next to our tech staff. "I got skills, yo," Daniel would always say, remarking after solving a problem. What happened with Daniel was not planned or strategically thought out. It was pure luck, but luck can be divine. By happenstance, perhaps even providence, we had the making of a workforce development initiative. Where does it stand today after Daniel? Well, in October 2023, JCAL, in partnership with the Jamaica YMCA, launched a new workforce development initiative called Stage and Screen Technical Apprenticeship, or SSTA. The SSTA consists of 2 main components: classroom instruction and practicum. During classroom sessions, apprentices will receive more intensive training on backstage, technical requirements, front-of-the-house duties such as box office, management, and ushering. They'll also have an expanded opportunity throughout the busy spring season to work at JCAL, Queens College, and York College, some of our partners. For us, workforce development in arts and culture teaches transferable skills. It fosters opportunity and serves the interest of our local, global, and multicultural community. My name is Courtney French, and thank you for having me.
Thank you so much to this panel for, what you're doing. I think the impact study is interesting of where people grow and go, and certainly if we were to pursue something like the Creative Job Fair, you found someone who's interested, and while it doesn't happen all the time, you can call it luck. I do think I just find that to be a testament to your own work, like someone being in somewhere where they're instantly inspired to want to give time and energy to something that might not have been even considered or in their realm of thought. I think that's really cool and a really great story. Thank you for sharing that. And of course, the launching a program to build on a lot of the things and the programs that are working. So I'm looking forward to that feedback from you all, probably in a smaller, more intimate space, but I really do appreciate your testimony, and thank you to this panel.
Thank you.
We're going to hear from Karen Jolicoeur, Ava Kinsey, Trevor New, Lindsay Working Yip. Nice. Okay. I know.
All right, good afternoon. Thank you so much, Chair Rivera and the council, for allowing us to be here today. Thank you also for your intentionality and the time you've given to each speaker. We really appreciate just your presence. I'm Ava Kinsey. I'm the Director of Education at the Brooklyn Academy of Music. BAM Education's work happens on our stages, of course, also in our partner schools' classrooms, and after school on-site at BAM. I'm going to specifically talk about our 2 arts administration after-school programs, one for high school seniors, the other for alumni of any of our BAM education programs who are between the ages of 18 to 24. Art is the conduit for what is possible, and the community fostered in those places keeps our programs full and engaged. I am reminded of a stellar young person who matriculated through several facets of BAM Education's programming. Her name is Patrice Jackman. Patrice started as an intern in BAM's Brooklyn Interns for Arts and Culture program as a high school senior. Back in 2016, the program prepared her for a career in the arts through administration. It paired her with a BAM staff member and supported her workforce development skills through her appointment as an intern in our president's office. All 12 students in her cohort were placed in various departments throughout BAM to cultivate their exploration into arts administration careers. Patrice then graduated from the program and began her tenure as an education alumni intern. After her internship contract ended, she was then hired as the coordinator for the program, the very program that piqued her interest in arts-based careers. During her time in the program, she of course made art, maintained tasks and responsibilities in her departments that she was assigned, but it also led to her improving and extending the reach of our programs. After hearing feedback from participants who had graduated from the program, Patrice heard that students wanted more. They wanted to be able to build their portfolios and really deepen themselves as artists at BAM. So in 2021, she pitched our Creative Career Collective program for alumni of our programs. It was approved, and since 2022, we have matriculated 5 cohorts through that program. It is a paid program for young artists. So this is an example of how one young person in our arts programming changed the landscape of arts administration access for her peers, for people to come after her. And this proves that the arts is a place where brilliance, learning, education, and also implementation can happen for young people and those to come after. So we hope that you will continue to fund programs like this to several of our peer organizations. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon. I'm Karen Jolicoeur, Executive Director of Creative Artworks, and it's my pleasure to speak with you today about the vital need for and positive impacts of our creative workforce development programs. CAW is a 39-year-old youth development nonprofit working in the visual and multimedia arts. Our long-standing public art youth employment programs are provided in direct alignment with our mission to equip New York City's young people with essential tools and skills, to connect them to their communities, academic lives, and career opportunities, and to inspire new possibilities for the future. Each year, among other things, we provide nearly 300 teens and young adults with apprenticeships in the creation of large-scale public art and multimedia like documentary film and character design. These are offered in partnership with companies commissioning youth-created art, city and state agencies like DYCD and the Family Courts, career and technical education high schools, and more. These programs, the most cost and labor-intensive that we run, with critical support from Cultural Affairs, City Council, and private foundations, not only enhance art and design skills, but also develop collaboration, client, communication, and leadership skills, those coveted soft skills so sought by employers. And they provide remuneration and real work experience on a resume. In New York City, it really does start with the arts. Controller Lander's recent spotlight on our creative economy here observed that it is a defining economic sector for the city on par with finance, real estate, or law. And yet, these pathways can be opaque or exclusionary to the young people we serve. Programs like ours develop a pipeline for teens and young adults to learn about and gain access to creative and adjacent careers. They also provide meaningful work for some of New York's fine teaching artists. A former youth apprentice is our full-time program coordinator, and several have become teaching artist assistants. But the skills our youth apprentices learn serve them well wherever they may go. This past summer, 90% of participants said they applied the skills they learned to other parts of their lives. 100% felt well prepared for their client pitch, and 99% feel their creative skills improved over the course of the program. We also saw a 41% increase in those professing comfort with public speaking. So it's encouraging that these pathways have generated your attention here today, and we look forward to working together to sustain and expand these essential opportunities for New York City youth, our future workforce.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak here today. My name is Lindsay Working Yip. I am the Director of Development for the American Composers Orchestra. ACO is a national accelerator creating pathways for New Yorkers to pursue careers in the arts. We provide artists paid work in New York City. Then we connect them to organizations across the country for future employment. Our Earshot initiatives are the first ongoing systemic program for building relationships between composers and orchestras across the Americas. Since 2020, we have tripled our national footprint, increasing from 6 to 26 partners across 17 US states and Canada. All of these partners are providing jobs to our artists. In 2024, we employed over 200 artists working in New York City to fulfill roles as composers, musicians, and teaching artists. Our composer workforce reflects the New York City population, with 77% self-identifying as individuals of color and 55% as women or non-binary. To make a sustainable living, a freelance artist must cobble together many different gigs as performers, composers, and teaching artists. Just to get a job, these artists are expected to function as entrepreneurs, needing skills in pitching, marketing, networking, and fundraising. American Composers Orchestra provides training that will advance every part of an artist's career, gives them agency to direct the creative process, and pays them a living wage. We begin this work at the start of the talent pipeline in New York City public schools. In the past decade, nearly 100 ACO students have entered competitive post-secondary music programs. For emerging artists like Trevor New, who joins me here today, we provide ongoing opportunities over multiple years. Since his 2-year residency with ACO, we have connected him to dozens of career opportunities, which he will share more about shortly. We're going to be bold and respectfully request $50,000 to support ACO's work. These funds would enable ACO to add 5 annual composer residencies, providing paid opportunities to over 100 New York artists and transformative musical experiences for many more New York City residents. Thank you. You're up.
Hi, my name is Trevor New. I'm a violist, composer, educator, and developer of music technology, and thank you for having us here to testify. Really grateful for that. As an artist in New York City, I could choose a career of primarily commercial work or where I recreate music that has been around for centuries, music of another time. Orchestras are known for playing music that speaks to a different time and place. As a composer, I'm interested in writing music that speaks to who we are now, and I encourage this committee to support artists who are creating new work. I create artistic experiences that connect communities across the world in real time using existing technologies and live performance. The solution to distance and connection isn't a technical one, but a creative one. In this case, the solution is music. The American Composers Orchestra has enabled me to do this work in a way that no other organization has. Working with the ACO, I've become more confident in myself as an artist. The ACO gave me one mandate, which was write what you want, and we'll do our best to make it happen. They let me take risks, and it was amazing to collaborate with other artists who were being paid a living wage. Makes a huge difference. I came out of the program feeling more experienced and empowered, and work I created was introduced to many more other individuals in a position to hire me. As Lindsay mentioned, my ACO fellowship led to many new opportunities in the past 4 years. With ACO, I've continued to play with the orchestra at Carnegie Hall, teach New York City music students, have my work published with Boosie and Hawks, an international publisher, and have a commercial recording planned for future release. ACO's support has led to a $10,000 NYSCA commission grant, residencies with University of Tennessee, Knoxville, Alfred University, a teaching position at Drew University, and collaborative work with Engine Arts, the nonprofit I founded, has led to, among other opportunities, a multi-year NYSCA grant of $15,000 each year. I echo Lindsay's request for the council to support the American Composers Orchestra with a $50,000 grant. These funds will enable the composers to pursue different ways of making music, share creativity with New York City residents, and secure future employment across the country. This is an orchestra that truly speaks to right now. Thank you.
Thank you, and congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks so much.
That sounds awesome. And I think artists should be able to take risks. They should be able to create and follow their vision. So I'm glad you were awarded that opportunity. I'm thankful for the work that you've done. And I agree, it's the soft skills that are important. And I do believe location's important too. I can't even imagine if I was like in high school and in like after school program in BAM. That's just, it's iconic. I just want to thank you all for what you're doing to reach people. And I know how costly and labor intensive it is. So we are really trying our best to figure out how we can expand your capacity appropriately and of course under your guidance. So thank you. Thank you to this panel. Our last in-person, if you'd like to testify, please fill out a white slip with the sergeant at arms so we can make sure that we get on the dais. Before we proceed to Zoom participants, we have Christopher Leon Johnson.
Hi, good afternoon, Chair Rivera. My name is Christopher Leon Johnson, and I totally support all the organizations that were here this morning and this afternoon. I believe that every organization needs grants, but I'll say this myself, what we need to start doing more for the city council for 2025 and for FY26 budget, I know this is not the budget talks, is that we need to start implementing more financial incentives and directing more discretionary funding and start having these art institutions use that money to start recruiting more people from the inner districts, saying from the ages from 18 years old to 34 years old, more this year, mostly African-American men. I believe that, I know this year is we're already in January, it's a violent month. I hope that there's no more violence this year, but I believe that we could lower the violence rate in the city if we start teaching these young black men, mainly 18 to 34, different avenues, usually with the arts. That we need to start doing more is start educating them with arts, more arts, instead of pushing drill music and pushing, giving awards and proclamations to thugs, gangster rappers, and drill rappers, and start honoring more people like young African American men that does great work for real great work for the community, real positive work for the community. Because if we change their mindsets, it will lower the crime rate in the city. So I know that there's a lot of bureaucratic red tape to give organizations that really work with young black men, 21 to 34, discretionary funding. But I hope that this year that you as a chair, I know this is your last term, you work with these nonprofits, especially the museums, to start giving more initiatives to black men that are 21 to 34 in the inner districts. So I know my time is up. I gotta go to labor hearing, and thank you. Enjoy your day.
Thank you very much. Program, services, employment, I think it's very important to reducing violence. Thank you. Now we're gonna move on to our Zoom panel. Is it all right if I call a few folks on Zoom to have them? Okay, let's go. Lucy Sexton. Oh, one by one, okay. Oh, sorry, hold on, Lucy. This concludes the in-person portion of our public testimony. We'll now move to remote testimony. If you are testifying remotely, please listen for your name to be called. And once your name is called, a member of our staff will unmute you. You may start your testimony once the sergeant at arms sets the clock and cues you to begin. Lucy, you may begin once you are unmuted and the sergeant cues you.
I'm unmuted. I don't know if I'm going to be cued, but if you can hear me, I'll proceed. I am Lucy Sexton. I'm with New Yorkers for Culture and Arts, a citywide coalition of artists and cultural organizations. Thank you, Chair Rivera and the Council's Cultural Affairs Committee for holding this important hearing addressing the cultural workforce. I also want to thank the Chair for your new bill supporting the New York State Legislature's Art Space Bill. Access to space at below market rate for long-term leases is a critical first step in stemming the tide of the loss of cultural spaces that do so much to anchor our communities. As far as workforce, we need to look at the current state of those workers. The 2022 Portrait of New York State Artists survey by Creatives Rebuild New York, who I know you're also going to hear from, revealed stark data. 57% of respondents reported income under $25,000, 86% earned less than $50,000, 60% characterized their financial circumstances as unstable or extremely unstable. Cultural organizations need stable funding to hire more and pay more, particularly to young people from disinvested communities. A few ideas. We propose a new council initiative for workforce development, specifically to help cultural organizations attract, train, and retain a diverse workforce. We're also advocating for a city-backed health fund that would allow cultural workers to access portable benefits in moving from job to job, and provide cultural organizations access to a more affordable group health plan for their employees. We know there is support for this in the administration, and we'd love to share more details with you. Finally, the council, the administration, and our state government need to do all they can to protect immigrant artists struggling to stay in our city. We must pass New York for All in Albany. We must protect cultural funding, which is already under attack by the right. And New York City must lead the way in saying no to the shutdown of DEIA initiatives and yes to our wildly diverse and vibrant city of culture.
Your time has expired.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sequoia Gwynn from New York Theater Workshop.
Good afternoon. Thank you for this opportunity to speak. My name is Sequoia Gwynn, and I am the Interim Director of Education and Community Engagement at New York Theater Workshop, a leading off-Broadway theater located in the East Village. At New York Theater Workshop, one of the ways we prioritize equity and opportunity is through our education programs, such as Mind the Gap, our intergenerational playwriting program, Youth Artistic Instigators, our in-house youth ensemble. And today, I'm here to talk about our 2050 Administrative and Artistic Fellowships. For years, I have had the privilege of overseeing the 2050 Administrative Fellowship and witnessing its transformative impact firsthand. This program is more than just an introduction to arts administration. It's a launch pad for emerging leaders who bring fresh perspectives and innovative ideas to our field. Our fellows go on to be leaders at leading institutions such as Arts Nova, the Drama League, Pasadena Playhouse, and even New York Theater Workshop. In addition, our artistic fellowship has had a profound impact on the creative ecosystem. This program nurtures visionary playwrights, directors, and other theater makers, providing them with vital resources such as personal and project stipends, mentorship, and opportunities to develop their craft. By investing in these artists, we not only foster bold new works, but also ensure that the stories of our stages are reflecting diversity and complexity of our world. Each year, I see fellows enter the program with immense potential and leave equipped with the skills, confidence, and network to deliver real change, not just in the arts, but in their broader communities. So programs like the 2050 Administrative and Artistic Fellowships must be prioritized within our NYC cultural sector because they aren't just investments in individuals, they're investments in the future of the arts. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Melody Capote?
You may begin.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, and members of the City Council, my name is Melody Capote. I'm the Executive Director of the Caribbean Cultural Center African Diaspora Institute, known to many as CADI, and we're marking our 50th anniversary in 2026. I am very pleased to be here to testify about what I hope will be new and innovative pathways into the arts and cultural workforce, and I congratulate Chairwoman Rivera for identifying and highlighting this very important topic. What we are talking about here are the various new ways or innovations on old ways to create pathways for community members to be part of the arts and culture ecosystem, with a particular emphasis on communities that have been disenfranchised by reasons of racial or social backgrounds. I want to share with you what we have been doing at CCC-ADI in what I consider, with both pride and humility, to be a truly innovative pathway for artists and members of our communities interested in the arts and culture field. Starting with a grant from the state, we were able to visualize a center where artists and community workers could upgrade or obtain entrepreneurial skills, further their professional development skills, and sharpen their artistic point of view through continued technical assistance support, coaching, and financial stipends. We were able to make this dream a reality right up the street from our offices in East Harlem's El Barrio. We launched the first cohort of community workers and artists as part of our Entrepreneurial Assistance Center for Artists of Color that was completed in early December and is presently undergoing evaluation. What we know thus far is that our artists, particularly those in communities of color, are starving for the opportunities to compete on an even playing field and to advance opportunities and their skills as far as their talents will take them. What is most important to note here is the need to secure multi-year funding support that will allow the scaffolding and growing of the artists and their businesses,
Thank you.
which is our promise that we will be there for them for the long term.
Thank you so much, Ms. Capote. Tony Mazzocchi. Sorry, Tony.
You may begin.
It's all right. It's never been messed up anyway. So thank you, Chair Rivera and members of the committee, for addressing the critical topic of pathways in the arts and cultural workforce and for allowing me to testify. My name is Tony Mazzocchi, and I'm the Executive Director Designate at Kaufman Music Center located in Lincoln Square. Kaufman Music Center serves 50,000 community members annually, including 5,000 students of all ages from across the 5 boroughs, through programs like our Concert Hall, Merkin Hall, Community Arts School, Lucy Moses, and the K-12 Public School, Special Music School. As detailed in my written testimony, which I provided, musical training remains out of reach for so many due to financial and structural barriers, while community programs provide exposure. The intensive personalized instruction necessary for advanced study is often prohibitively expensive, with costs for lessons, instruments, and travel creating additional obstacles, particularly for students from underserved communities. The challenges of access to music education are compounded by a national music teacher shortage. This shortage presents an urgent opportunity by equipping young people, especially those from underserved communities, with the tools to pursue advanced musical training. We can fill that gap while preparing them for stable and meaningful careers. Music education not only develops technical skills, but as you know, fosters creativity, collaboration, resilience, etc., qualities really critical to success in teaching and beyond. Kaufman Music Center addresses these inequities through innovative programs. Special Music School, in partnership with New York City Public Schools, provides free K-12 music education integrated with academics for 300 students. Our new Pathways program identifies motivated middle school students from low-income backgrounds, providing free training, instruments, and transportation stipends tailored to their needs. This program's already shown great promise in its pilot year and will expand in the future. So by investing in initiatives like these, we can remove barriers, nurture talent,
Thank you.
and
Your time has expired.
is accessible to all. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your graciousness. Portrirang Kamanis Keanu Noor.
You may begin.
Assalamu alaikum. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm here today to testify. Oh, I have to honor our council member, Carlina Rivera. Thank you so much for all your support for us in District 2. I'm here to testify on behalf of Cultural and Arts Creative Force, specifically emphasizing the significance of Kending Sindao Heritage Foundation Incorporation as indigenous living traditions within the diaspora. Kending Sindao is composed of tradition bearers and New York creative workers. We are 33-year-old and has contributed to the vibrant tapestry of New York City's cultural heritage. Our work not only preserves intangible cultural practices but also serves as a critical resource of mental health and well-being and community self-esteem. Artists as facilitators of these traditions play an essential role in fostering identity, connection, and healing in our communities. However, the sustainability of our efforts require urgent support, and I respectfully urge our council to prioritize: 1. Sustainable and equitable access to space. This includes rehearsal spaces, storage for invaluable indigenous instruments, indigenous hand-woven and hand-embroidered wardrobes and props essential for teaching and performing, accessible venues for teaching and performance, a dedicated facility to pass on creative ancestral knowledge to learners and future generation, equitable funding for salaries. Artists are the backbone of cultural preservation and should be compensated fairly for the work. Support physical space facility as a secure, accessible, and long-term venue to house and sustain these practices. This action will ensure that the New York City remains a beacon of diversity, celebrating and preserving its intangible cultural heritage. Indigenous tradition like Kending Sindao are not just performers. We are lifelines of communities to connect with our roots.
Thank you. Your time has expired.
And envision a stronger, more inclusive future. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Sarah Calderon.
You may begin.
Oh, hello. Good afternoon, Chairperson Rivera and members of the committee. My name is Sarah Calderon. I'm the Executive Director of Creatives Rebuild New York. Thank you for this opportunity to testify today. CRNY is a 3-year, $125 million statewide initiative funded by private philanthropy to promote the financial stability of New York artists and organizations that employ them. We believe artists are workers who deserve equitable, sustainable support structures and whose well-being is vital to New York's social and economic well-being. We provided guaranteed income for 2,400 artists over 18 months across New York State and worked with 100 community-based organizations to provide artists employment, a salary of $65,000 per year, and benefits for 300 artists throughout the state for 2 years. I'll mention one thing, key thing, building on and endorsing Lucy's call for portable benefits. We ran this employment program in partnership with TribeWorks, a portable benefits platform that supported our artists who were at organizations who did not have or were too small to have benefits and the ability to employ artists. We have research about this as well, and I'm happy to share the positive results. As Lucy reported, right, artists in New York are making, 60% of artists are making less than $25,000 a year. And our CRNY survey conducted of more than 2,300 artists, more than half of respondents have no financial safety net and carry unmanageable debt. For our first proposal, we are interested in supporting sort of internships and apprenticeships. There are significant barriers to employment in nonprofit arts administration, specifically high educational requirements, low pay, and few opportunities for on-the-job pay. And we recommend advancing a set of parallel efforts to expand accessible internships and apprenticeship opportunities in New York cultural institutions, beginning with growing the capacity of the CUNY Cultural Core Program.
Thank you. Your time has expired.
Excuse me?
Sarah, they just mean your time is up. So if you just want to wrap up the thought, and we'll be sure to read your full testimony that's submitted.
That's okay. You can just take my full testimony. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate you very much. Well, now we'll hear from Terry Grice.
You may begin.
My name is Terry Grice. I'm the executive director of Irondale Ensemble Project, a theater ensemble based in Fort Greene, Brooklyn. Our permanent ensemble of citizen artists has been making theater and passing on the legacy of theater making to students from 10 to 80 for over 42 years. Today, I'd like to feature two of our signature youth programs, Irondale's Tech Track program and our science communication program, STEM to STEAM. STEM to STEAM reaches over 700 students in science and technology programs at more than 20 of the city's most prestigious institutions. Each student receives approximately 10 hours of improvisation training to learn how to communicate their academic work with excitement and passion and without jargon, and tailor their research for each audience they need to reach, from peers and potential funders to academics and even their own families. About 20 years ago, we were working on a drama program at Fort Greene Prep funded by CASA when a very visionary principal suggested we teach theater to her robotics students. The work we did with them catapulted them to taking first place in regional competitions and launched Irondale in a new direction. From that single program, the project has grown to reach 700 high school students throughout the city in 22 institutions through the Science Research Mentoring Program and an additional 100 plus at other labs and academic institutions. We also offer the same training to professional STEM professionals in laboratories, hospitals, and universities. Tech Track is currently a semester-long program offered free to all students that enables students to study and practice the crafts and technologies of theater production and all the elements that make the onstage theatrical production come to life. Here's an example. Howie is a 12-year-old student who showed up one day looking like he'd been sent to Tech Track as a punishment. He expressed no interest whatsoever, but at least he stayed. The next I heard about Howie, who was very vocally and very passionately expressing his vision of stage design and letting others know that what they were doing wrong. He was heard to say about another student's design, "I don't get it. That's dumb.
Your time is
You're building a
expired.
set with 4 walls, but there's an audience, right? How can they possibly see through the 4th wall?" Of course he was right. He's still expressing himself and still thinking critically about the work he's creating. I clearly see his future as a professional theater craftsman. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Grice. Patricia McGregor.
You may begin.
Thank you, Chairperson Rivera, Commissioner Cumbo, the council members, and all of the artistic leaders here. I've been very inspired to hear about how all of your programs are helping individuals and the ecosystem. My name is Patricia McGregor, and I come here not only to advocate as an arts leader, but also as a recipient of a transformative fellowship myself. In 2000, I moved to New York City to pursue a career in the arts, but as many artists and students, had to take a job bartending down the corner on Avenue A and an executive assistant job at Polo Ralph Lauren. I almost stayed in that job until I got a fellowship at Second Stage, which for 2 years gave me a home, a place, and launched my career. I now come before you as the artistic director of New York Theater Workshop, a few blocks down the street from where I used to bartend. So these fellowship programs are not just academic, they are not abstract, they are very personal for me. You heard earlier Sequoia Gwynn, our extraordinary interim Director of Education Engagement, speak about our range of programs. Our programs begin with teens at the age of 13 through our Youth Artistic Instigator Program and bridge all the way up to folks in their 90s in our Mind the Gap program. Most importantly, for the work today, our 2050 Artistic and Administrative Fellows have been one of the most successful programs in the field of off-Broadway and Broadway theater. Many of the recipients of these fellowships over the past 20 years have gone on to be household names. This year, Danya Tamor and Brandon Jacob Jenkins, former fellows, won Tony Awards. We have 6 to 10 fellowships in each artistic and administrative track, from finance, development, artistic, production, and marketing. We have lost some dedicated funding, so this year we went down from 10 administrative to 5 fellows. And I will say, while I speak as a former fellow who that fellowship transformed my life, and I sit now in the big office at New York Theater Workshop, there are former fellows who are also on our board. I know these fellowships make a huge difference, and especially as a leader and with my incoming leader, Maya Children, as 2 women of color leading an organization, we know very personally that these fellowships make a difference. They matter. We'll do everything we can to champion them, and we hope you join us so that this invaluable work can be accessible to many, many more people for generations to come. Thank you.
Thank you so much. The following witnesses were also signed up to testify remotely: Juan Castaño and Nia Abdullah. If any of you are online or here in person, please raise your hand. If there is anyone else present in the room who has not had the opportunity to testify but wishes to do so, please raise your hand. Seeing no one else who wishes to testify, I just want to thank all of the participants in person and on Zoom for your testimony and really your advocacy to advance efforts for fellowships, internships, and apprenticeships. It's so, so important for our city, and I'm very thankful to you. With that, this hearing is adjourned. Thank you to the staff here in the council and on my team.